even if you're retired or on Medicare. There are no networks, so you can choose any dentist you'd like. That's right, any dentist you want. Call and we'll rush you a free information kit with all the details. 1-800-300-8038. That's 1-800-300-8038. 1-800-300-8038.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
5:10. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. The latest this early morning with Jim Telemonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. On Chicago's south side, there's heavy police presence at 83rd and Stony Island. There's been a shooting. This happening or being reported just after 3:30 this morning. So expect some closures in that area. Downtown, Ag Miles crashed with injuries on Michigan Avenue at Chestnut. Streets remain closed around Grant Park to clean up after Taste of Chicago. Stretches of Columbus, Congress, and Jackson should reopen sometime tomorrow. Kennedy Expressway outbound at North Avenue. A stall, actually a car with a flat tire blocking the left lane there. Inbound I-57, traffic's a little heavy approaching to merge, about a 1-minute delay. The other expressways and tollways look good. Traffic is a service of Napa Auto Parts. This month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores, the Napa Legend battery comes with a $15 prepaid Visa card by mail. So start every drive with a Legend and save yourself some money with the Napa Legend battery. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And the latest this morning, meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
More clouds than sun today with a high 87, then a strong late-night thunderstorm tonight, which could bring flash flooding and damaging winds, low 72. Morning shower or thunderstorm tomorrow, followed by clouds and sun, then watch for a severe afternoon thunderstorm, high 91. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
71 at O'Hare, 70 along the lakefront, 75 at Midway. And your early morning water temp at Wilmette Harbor, 7. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs powered by Tandem HR. Heard Sunday evenings at 6.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is famed Chicago Tribune columnist John Cass. All soccer and prostate health this morning as John Cass joins us.
You won't let that stuff go, will you?
Well, I mean, your wheelhouse topics.
I'm not going to those topics.
Oh,
soccer, yes, but not that other.
Not prostate health?
No, those are private issues, and we don't talk about. Gentlemen don't talk about.
Well, there's only one gentleman here, and it's not me.
That's correct. That's that's the first thing you said that's right today.
So, Donald Trump Jr., the latest wrinkle in the Donald Trump Jr. saga that broke over the weekend. Yesterday, the New York Times reporting that per this meeting that he had with a allegedly Kremlin-connected Russian attorney, that he was informed in an email setting up that meeting, which we now know who the go-between was to set up that meeting, according to the New York Times, Rob Goldstone, a publicist and former British tabloid reporter.
who apparently brokered this 2016 meeting that included Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner,
Manafort.
Paul Manafort, the campaign chairman at the time. And in the exchange with Goldstone, according to 3 people with knowledge of the email, reports the New York Times.
Who are those 3? Comey, Mueller, and
John
Brennan,
yeah.
former CIA.
Podesta.
Right, Podesta.
Donald Trump Jr. was informed that the material that was supposedly damaging to Hillary Clinton that the Russian attorney had dangled as the incentive for this meeting was part of a Russian government effort to aid his father's candidacy.
Yeah.
And so, again, I asked the question that we led with yesterday. I didn't get a satisfactory answer from Kristen McQuarrie. See if you can improve upon that.
Pitting us against each other. There's only 2 of us left there.
Execution or life in prison?
For Trump?
For Trump Jr. Well, for all the Trumps, but Trump Jr. specifically. Flaying. It's only
send him to Ramsey Bolton.
It's only. I was waiting. Boy, that's only a few minutes in for a
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones reference.
It's
it's 5 days away though.
Yeah,
the season premiere. So I understand.
Building.
Yeah.
The tension.
Well, what?
Almost like sexual tension, but emotionally.
Yeah, there's no sexual tension here.
Right. Another one.
So, what is your take on Trump Jr. and the importance of this story that's developing?
If he was meeting, if that's the reason he met, then just say so at the outset. Don't give me the story about babies and adoption.
Well,
the problem is they start off, they're not telling the truth, and then it comes out more and more and more. If you're a detective, you look at it and say, well, why didn't you tell me the first time? So that's the one problem. The larger issue is
somebody described it the way the Clinton administration, Bill Clinton, the whole Clinton administration,
deny.
Well, no, they tell the truth slowly.
Yeah,
and
it's a problem, but
it's not helpful.
The larger issue is the success of Donald Trump will be determined by the economy. The economy, you can't do taxes until you do the health care. All this does is what the Democrats wanted to do.
Well, you can't do
it. Which is to stall everything out, suck all the energy out of Washington, just put it on this, and don't move the ball forward and wait for 2018.
Well,
you know this, right?
You can't do any of that if your administration comes to an end. And so the question is, are we getting to a place where you have real concerns that Trump survives this Russian collusion investigation, fishing expedition, witch hunt?
Come on, it's a rationale for Hillary losing the election. That's why it's so popular among the media and by the Democrats. If you can blame Russia for her ridiculous campaign, then you're halfway there.
Well, speaking of Hillary Clinton, I don't like to do this tit for tat where somebody that's affiliated, generally speaking, with my worldview does something that is uncomfortable, if not untoward, if not wrong, but we say, well, the other side does it too. But it is worth noting, just in terms of talking about conspiracy to disrupt the election, which I guess is what we're talking about here.
It's the Russians' fault.
Because collusion is not a crime in and of itself. It has to be a conspiracy in furtherance of something that is illegal, and that seems to be lost in this discussion as well. But there is the story from Daily Caller reminding us that Hillary Clinton did something similar. A veteran DNC operative who previously worked in the Clinton White House, Alexandra Chalupa, I like it with the hot sauce.
Yes.
Worked with Ukrainian government officials and journalists from both Ukraine and America to dig up Russian-related opposition research, on Trump and Manafort. She also shared her anti-Trump research with both the DNC and the Clinton campaign. This was according to a Politico report. They're just kind of refreshing our recollection. at the Daily Caller. So, DNC operative worked with Ukrainian government officials and journalists from both Ukraine and America to find negative things on Trump to use in the campaign. So, is that colluding with a foreign government to disrupt the campaign? How is that different than what they allege Trump Jr. had been open to receiving?
There is a difference.
Okay.
The difference is that the United States, through the intelligence community, helped foment discord between Ukraine and Russia to capitalize in order to expand NATO as part of the expansion of NATO, which is what the neocons and John McCain want, and that therefore you can sell more defense equipment to those emerging nations. That's why, and Ukraine is not an adversary. Russia is an adversary.
Okay, but
so there you go.
Well, that's true
to a point.
But in terms of the underlying principle, if it's working with a foreign government to influence an American election, how is that different? Whether you're working with a foreign government that's an ally or a foreign government that's an adversary.
It's like talking about whether Comey should have leaked the information. You know, did he leak the information and therefore is like Hillary in the leaking of his memos? I mean, the focus here is going to be on Trump, not Hillary, because he's the president.
No, I understand.
And they dealt with Russia in some respects, trying to get information. To me, the ham-handedness of the politics.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been in the political game a long time, both of us. You know, people want Oppo research, and they'll meet with others. They'll meet with some weasel from the alley, you know, some Ratzo Rizzo type to get information from people.
Well, but think about
you don't have your son and your campaign manager in there. You do it with third parties associated maybe with your campaign. You have deniability, and they vet it out first. You don't sit down on a cold meeting. And that's the problem with this thing. At that level, if it's really a cold meeting, I don't buy that it's a cold meeting. And there might be the problem.
Well, maybe there's some political naivete, but it shouldn't be distributed across the entire assemblage of people. Right? I agree. I think it's problematic. But one thing people need to understand, though, going back to just the nature of political campaigns, much like a prosecutor trying to prosecute a gangbanger. I'm comparing gangbangers to politicians. I think that's fair.
Especially in Chicago, where the two shall meet.
But you're not dealing with the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, so you get information sometimes from unsavory sources, but it doesn't mean that the information isn't actionable. You know, upon verification, that the information might not turn out to be good, and so sometimes, you know, you're just dealing with people
reporters
of questionable repute.
Reporters too. We deal with
reporters are also people are questions of they also reporters I would also include in the category of people of ill repute. Robert in Oak Brook here on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, as I was sitting on hold, I heard that this woman was denied access to the United States. Denied access.
She was having problems getting a visa. Yes.
No. So how did she get here, and who brought her here?
Well, she did represent a Russian company that was involved in a civil asset forfeiture action by the Department of Justice. So it's very likely she was here representing their interest before DOJ.
Again, that's kind of like the dirty truth. Why really was she here? And who are the Democrats, and who, you know?
You know, it is just, Robert, is it possible?
They're kind of underhanded. We live in Chicago. I've lived here my whole life. Daley tore up Midway Airport in the middle of the night.
Miggs.
Just who they are.
Yeah. Thanks for the call,
And don't
Robert.
forget Greektown, too.
Wait, he tore up Greektown?
Greektown and Taylor Street, yeah. When certain guys said it was okay to go and build UIC.
Oh, was that
the first day?
Is that when they broke ground at Oscar D'Angelo Park?
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Let's have today's weather humid with more clouds than sun, a high of 85. And tonight, a strong thunderstorm late. Storms can bring flooding and damaging winds, so don't water your garden. Let nature do it. Jim Talamonte, I'm so glad to see that you're back.
Thanks, John. Good morning. It's good to hear your voice as well. Good morning, Dan. Chicago South Side got a shooting, 83rd and Stony Island. Reported that this involves an incident, a victim being shot in a transit van, and so avoid that area. There's some closures, 83rd and Stony Island. Meanwhile, in downtown Chicago, Magnificent Mile crashed with injuries on Michigan Avenue at Chestnut. Edens is clear. Kennedy outbound at North Avenue. There was a vehicle with a flat. That's cleared out of the left lane. Kennedy's delay-free. So is the Eisenhower, and for now, so is the Stevenson. Inbound Ryan, a little heavy starting at 31st Street. It's 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, you've got a 2-minute delay approaching the Verge. Bishop Ford, a 5-minute delay from Stony Island to the Ryan. Tollways are good. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do here each morning on this show. It's our digital platform where we have long-form interviews, including our Against the Current series. This week we'll be featuring Charlie Cook from Charles Cook, I guess I should. He's British. Charles Cook from National Review, as well as Follow the Logic segments, Man on the Street interviews, seeing if people can follow the logic on public policy issues. New series we've launched, Heart of the Matter, which is professional women talking about the relevant issues of the day, kind of in a colleague-to-colleague type setting. 60 Seconds of Sanity, those are my commentaries. 2-minute warnings and Dollars and Cents, those are the commentaries of Pat Hughes from the Illinois Opportunity Project, as well as podcasts of our Illinois Rising program covering state policy and politics. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
It takes a lot of courage to face your own death, but I'm glad I finally did. See, I was putting off getting life insurance to protect my family, even though I knew it was important. Then my neighbor's husband died. I watched her struggle emotionally and financially. It really made me face reality. If my husband died, how would I pay the mortgage, the car payments, or keep up the life the kids and I had? I realized I needed to get us life insurance right away. So I called AIG Direct. In less than 5 minutes, I had a quote. I was shocked at how affordable it is. Just $14 a month for $250,000 of term life coverage. I feel so much better knowing my family has protection.
Call AIG Direct right now for a free no-obligation quote. The call takes less than 5 minutes, and you can save up to 70%. Call now, 1-800-900-1904. That's 1-800-900-1904. 1-800-900-1904.
The performance, conduct, and sustainability of organizations are a direct result of leadership. A leader's impact can be profoundly good or bad. We've experienced the devastating impact of unethical, selfish, and corrupt leaders. We've also experienced the impact of good and caring leaders whose honesty, integrity, and ethical conduct have created great organizations and a legacy of goodwill. Our challenging times require courageous, values-driven leaders to step up to these challenges. My name is Rich Panico. I am the founder and CEO of Integrated Project Management Company, IPM. I am blessed to lead a wonderful family of talented and caring leaders. Join us as we strive to change the world, one project at a time.
Trust IPM, the consulting industry's leader at executing your critical initiatives. For almost 3 decades, IPM has planned and executed projects in the life sciences, healthcare, consumer, and industrial sectors with honesty and integrity. Visit IPMCinc.com. That's IPMCinc.com. Or call Integrated Project Management's Chicago office at 630-789-8600.
AM 560, The Answer.
A little Texas Midnight Runners. Dan and John Cass, who is in overalls this morning, joining us, sitting in for Amy, and Chris Christie auditioning for Life After the Governorship. He was on WFAN with Mike Francesa, taking his turn at the wheel of being a sports jock.
I guess it's not the.
And I'm sorry for using the word jock in association with Chris Christie.
So I guess the Attorney General's job is out for him.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's a good thing. But Christie got into it with a caller, and I want you to listen, John, as you continue to ply your trade in talk radio. Maybe you can learn something from the New Jersey governor.
Mike in Montclair. What's up, Mike?
Governor, next time you want to sit on a beach that is closed to the entire world except you, you put your fat ass in a car and go to one that's open to all your constituents.
Well,
not just you and yours.
Interesting, Mike. You know what?
What's that? What's that, Gov?
You know, Mike, I love getting calls from communists in Montclair.
Communists in Montclair.
You know,
you're a bully, Governor, and I don't like bullies.
You know what? And listen, I'm not the one who came on the air. Hey, hold on, Mike. Mike, I'm not the guy who came on the air, swore on the air.
Who swore?
And so you did.
Kick the heck out of
you know, you're swearing on the air, Mike. You're a bum.
You know,
let's just go. Bad optics,
okay?
Mike.
And
I'd love to come look at your optics every day, buddy. That's you know what, and you know what, Mike. What matters is what you do. That's what matters.
And what have you done?
What I just did was stop polluting the airways with a guy like that. Now, listen, these guys are going to come on and notice they're both from Montclair.
Well, you know what's so funny? Can I just say?
Yeah. I told you when the calls came up, right?
I said to the governor, I said, man, you're popular in Montclair. We got a few guys up. And you're like, no, Evan, I'm not popular in Montclair.
No, there's no chance. You know, in a state like in my state in 2013, when I won 19 out of 21 counties and got 61% of the vote, you know, I lost Montclair. So,
they don't like you there.
No. And the editorial page editor of the largest newspaper lives in Montclair. I mean, this is a town that, let's just say, to be charitable, leans leftward.
I'll tell you, Chris Christie has a combination of Rush Limbaugh in terms of the physique and Morton Downey Jr. in terms of calling people communists. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting mashup.
If he doesn't like that, you know, that's sports talk in the East Coast, in New York, New Jersey, Boston. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, go back on your beach, you little fat ass. And hide because you know what?
Hey.
I never liked that guy from the beginning.
Hey, who you crapping?
Hey,
John Cass.
Teacher. Beat up some teachers next, Christy.
All
Come
right.
on.
Coming up, we'll continue with Theater of the Absurd back in politics and pour over the Kellyanne Conway, Chris Cuomo interview. Won't that be fun? But now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
71 degrees, partly cloudy skies in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. There are still just very few details coming to us in the newsroom this morning out of Mississippi, where 16 have been killed in a military plane crash. The Marine Corps KC-130 went down yesterday, a tanker in a soybean field. Witnesses reported hearing loud bangs and seeing that plane spiraling toward the ground, fiery debris strewn for miles. Local law enforcement and federal agents investigating a major explosion at an Air Force recruiting center in Oklahoma. Happened around 10:30 Monday night at the recruiting center in Bixby, about a half hour southeast of Tulsa. Bixby Police Sergeant Tim Scrivener confirmed the basic facts overnight, saying details will wait for a press conference scheduled for later this morning.
At approximately 22:30 hours, there's an explosion in front of the Air Force recruiting building.
The front doors of that single-story building, Scrivener went on to say, are blown out. No word on damage, how much damage the blast did inside the office. From the White House this morning, spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders insisting no one in the Trump campaign colluded with Russia, including Donald Trump Jr.
The only thing I see inappropriate about the meeting was the people that leaked the information on the meeting after it was voluntarily disclosed.
The younger Trump has acknowledged a meeting with a Russian attorney in June of 2016. A U.S. soldier faces charges in Hawaii on accusations he tried to help ISIS. The 34-year-old is accused of attempting to give military documents and training to the terror group. He was nabbed by the FBI Saturday. CTA rail workers could be headed for a strike. Talks have been going on for 18 months. Cook County soda tax remains on hold. A judge issued a temporary restraining order last month. That ruling upheld yesterday by an Illinois appellate court. And an anti-crime group in Chicago says a new crime hotline established in May has generated 350 credible tips, credible enough to pass along to local law enforcement. Chicago Crime Commission says the aim has been to encourage those who otherwise may be wary of contacting police directly to call in with anonymous tips. Bulls signed free agent guard Justin Holiday. Bulls suffer a Summer League loss to the Hawks, while closer Wade Davis represents the Cubs. Avisaíl Garcia represents the White Sox at tonight's Baseball All-Star Game. The news service of American Sale. Get up to 50% off patio collections during the Great American Sale at American Sale. Choose from hundreds of patio sets on display and get free delivery too. And right now, you'll pay no interest for 5 years. See store for details. American Sale. Bring the fun home. 5:34, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says work is getting done in Washington, despite what you see from the mainstream media.
An awful lot continues to get done in this Trump White House, day in and day out. Bills are being signed. Legislation is being tackled. Yes, healthcare is going to be tricky. It's going to be tough. But if anybody can do it, it's this guy. You know it, and I know it.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Home isn't just a place, it's the feeling of knowing you're safe. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Learn more at ADT.com.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.125%. APR 3.82%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
As the head of procurement for my company, I was sweating a big deadline and got tired of calling my printer for updates, only to hear excuses. So I heard about McGrath Printing Custom Apparel and gave them a call. I got A+ service, and they beat the deadline. McGrath Printing really saved my...
I'm a supply chain manager for a Fortune 500 company, and we had $50,000 of product waiting for instruction manuals because our printer couldn't deliver on time. One call to McGrath Printing Custom Apparel, and they saved my...
At McGrath Printing Custom Apparel, they've been saving companies for over 35 years. Give them a call at 815-356-5246. That's 815-356-5246. And mention code AM560 and get 20% off your first order. So remember,
go to where the pros go. McGrathPrint.com. McGrathPrint.com.
5:36 and a check of the roads this early morning in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. The CTA reports some delays in the Blue Line. Forest Park-bound trains. There was a mechanical issue at Rosemont. Southside, police are investigating a shooting at 83rd and Stony Island. Downtown, Congress and Jackson have reopened after a taste of Chicago cleanup. The Edens is clear, the Kennedy as well. Inbound Eisenhower, a little congested. Manheim to 17th. Got a 1 or 2 minute delay there. It's fine outbound. Inbound Stevenson delays start at Central. 38 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan is 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 23 minutes. I-80 to the merge, Bishop 422. Northbound Tri-State heavy, approaching 290. Traffic, the service of Geico Chicago. Hey, Chicago, Geico now has even more ways to save you money. Your local Geico agent is ready to deliver the personal service you need with the savings you love. 773-582-AUTO. That's 773-582-AUTO for your local Geico agent. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Humid today, more clouds than sunshine, and a high near 85. Strong thunderstorms could kick up overnight. Storms could bring flooding and damaging winds and a low of 72. Currently 71. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Illinois Rising, hosted by Dan Proft and the Illinois Policy Institute. Sunday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and in for Amy this morning, the equally lovely and talented John Cass. And John, you know, it's funny to me that CNN got all offended, all high dudgeon with the Trump World Wrestling Internet meme, because isn't that what cable news sort of is?
That's why I don't watch it.
That's
what it is.
It's
all
theater
about
and
screaming.
Theater of the absurd.
People in little boxes yelling at each other. I mean, I'll do it occasionally. I did Lou Dobbs the other day. I'll do it occasionally, but this whole screaming business, I just don't like. I don't like watching it. Why would you want to participate?
Kellyanne Conway, advisor to the president, and went on Chris Cuomo's show yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Now, remember, it was just last week where Chris Cuomo's associate producer on his New Day program on CNN was caught by Project Veritas, O'Keefe's group, surreptitiously saying that Kellyanne Conway looks like she got hit in the face with a shovel.
And Cuomo's an idiot?
And,
Something like that.
Well, yeah, they want him to stop talking. Yeah, they don't particularly like him.
Shut up!
But that also, in addition to that Trump is effing crazy, and the American voter, meaning the Trump voter, is stupid as blank. Here's that associate producer.
Sorry, Kellyanne Conway. What she look like? Is she the one with the? Looks like she got hit with a shovel. She looks like she got hit with a shovel.
She resisted bringing that up, although it certainly would have been appropriate. But that's about the only thing that wasn't brought up in the hour that she spent with Chris Cuomo, which
riveting television, I guess. Huh?
Well, I mean, it was. Let me give you
I would rather watch Clifton Webb in Mr. Belvedere Goes to College, but go on.
You know, I got to take issue. Well, we're going to have to get to this.
We'll get to that later. I don't want to derail your.
I don't.
topic.
Yeah, I don't like what you're doing to Christopher Hewitt's legacy.
We'll talk about it.
So here's the thing. Let me give you a flavor of what happened in their discussion. For example, on the whole matter that bubbled to the surface over the weekend on Donald Trump Jr. and that meeting that we were previously discussing. This is the quality of the exchange between the two.
True. Whether or not it was good information, Kellyanne, doesn't mean that it was a smart move to take a meeting with a Russian-connected person who was going to give you negative information about your opponent. That could create huge legal issues. You know that.
I admire your moxie sitting there with the CNN Chiron right near you talking about credibility issues.
Listen, I could not be more proud to have that CNN Chiron next to me. I could not be more proud to have it.
I could not be more proud here representing the White House on CNN.
And I'm glad you are. I want you here because of that. It's not supposed to be an argument. I'm saying this question started with, why did the president change his position about working with Russia? You spun it over to this. That was my original question.
Wait,
I never got an answer to it.
The president? What do you mean the president changed his story? The president had nothing to do with this meeting.
No, I understand that. I'm saying I asked you originally.
You wanted to produce something because you're invested in months now as a network in something that simply doesn't exist.
No, that's an assumption by you,
and
it's an unfair premise.
No, Chris, that's not true. Here's the unfair premise. That we are talking about this yet again, that you talk about Russia more than you talk about America.
Zing.
Listen, did Gore Vidal and William Buckley give each other time to speak?
Yes.
Because I don't like this talking over.
And then Buckley was going to smash him in his
punch you
and he's going to stay plastered. Yes. No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. They did.
Right. And this is, just screaming at each other.
Well.
Although she did get in the zinger.
She got a couple of zingers in there. The Chris Cuomo thing, too, just this technique I love. Look, I'm reasonable. I'm just asking questions. I don't want to have an argument. Meanwhile, why did your boss commit treason? It's like, look, why do you have to make this ugly and contentious? I'm just asking you the simple question of when your boss is going to resign.
It's a kind of a Dick Durbin technique where you come off like trying to come off as reasonable while you're smearing somebody.
Yes, right? Dick Durbin has perfected saying the most unreasonable things in the most reasonable tone of voice.
Right. You almost feel like hugging them.
Oh, no, I wouldn't go
really.
that far.
I mean, would you hug a bullhead? They're slimy and they have
squeeze hard.
Little thing that sticks into you.
So then it continued about the two of them, and who is more morally compromised.
Have you seen these polls?
Listen.
That say that the country, Americans want the media to move on from Russia and cover things that actually affect them.
Look,
Can you look the people in the eye that you grew up with in Astoria and I grew up with in South Jersey, the welders, the carpenters, the hairdressers? Can you tell them right now that you're telling them everything President Trump is doing for them?
Listen,
$100 million committed to the apprenticeship program so we can dignify all types of careers.
My conscience is clean. My mission is clear. What I do is I cover what I think matters to people. I test power, and I take the consequences every damn day, and that's not going to change. Thank you for helping us do that this morning.
He's an intrepid journalist.
He's a tough guy. He's like, I love when people talk. Usually I hear that tone in email to me after, they kind of, I'm a tough guy. And
yeah.
Really?
Things a tough guy doesn't say.
You're on TV, right. Like, you don't talk like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Andrew Cuomo, his brother, the governor of New York, another tough guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why they're
Pierre Trudeau, isn't that their cousin? No, maybe ideologically.
Your name's Pierre. It's not Pete. It's Pierre. I love doing Dan Aykroyd doing Bob Dole. Conservative columnist Stephen Miller, I think, had a good read on what you just heard, and it speaks to the kind of the whole nature of these cable news talk shows. Now, there's some exceptions, and yes, they do provide some value-added information, and not every host is the same, okay? So this is not a blanket statement, but the dynamic presents itself over and over and over again. Stephen Miller said the Cuomo-Conway interview is a perfect example of how masturbatory this is for both of them. Both sides revel in it. It's just, sniping and gotchas is his point. It's about them, and to some extent, doing the bidding of the organizations they represent, the White House, CNN, and that's understandable. That's part of your job. But I mean, are you really providing kind of quality content that would move people in one direction or the other, or give them any information they didn't already know? Such that what you're really doing is just kind of feeding red meat to base camp, right?
And then the tribal, the criers at each tribal camp take that information and they run with it, put it on some tweet that says, Kellyanne Conway or Cuomo just took down the others.
Yeah, right.
And I hear that like that's sort of the new thing where just did this, just did that. I'm
breaking news.
Well,
everything is breaking news.
I do breaking news now.
You do?
I had a breaking news tweet the other day.
What was that?
Breaking news: media to denounce Aragon for his Men of the West speech at the Black Gate.
Wow!
Kind of a like Lord of the Rings thing.
That is.
But in that speech, he speaks about Men of the West. I'm just throwing that out.
No, that is boy, that's a real get.
You know what? Somebody said, was that you tweeting under a fake name?
What's that?
Somebody said that's a get.
Oh.
That's a great get.
Well, I see it's just somebody with
What does get mean anyway? What does that mean? I thought it meant somebody you had.
Scoop.
A get.
Well, I mean, a get, it could be like
an interview.
Like a quality interview, right? But it's also like a get. It's kind of a scoop or first past the post on an interview or something like that.
So do you really watch cable news, or do you just, I go to Real Clear Politics and take stuff off. I have them watch it for me.
Yeah, Real Clear Politics, Mediaites. I mean,
Right.
Sometimes I'll go if the interview is compelling enough and watch the long form. I'll pull stuff off C-SPAN too, where you get a long form, and YouTube, and just stuff that's posted everywhere. But the cable news shows generally,
Can't stand them.
I mean, the only show I can really watch for any extended period of time is Brett Baer's show. And it's not just because he's a guest on the show every Friday.
He's good.
Yeah,
he's good
and it's a good panelist, and there's value add there.
He needs a few more liberals, but yeah.
But I mean, is there another show
to watch? I mean, like for news. Who watches TV for news?
Well, not even.
I mean, that's like saying, I'd like to sit around a campfire and have a shaman talk to me about the gods fighting in the skies, and that's the thunder and lightning. I
Well,
mean, come on.
Well, but
who watches that?
It's not about. I don't need the. It's not. I don't watch for the who, what, where, when. It's all about. Does anybody have anything interesting to say about the why?
But they
And-
don't
well,
anymore
that's my-
because
yeah.
it's all about narrowcasting. It's not what it was brought. You know, when there was, do you remember Pat Buchanan and what was that show? Crossfire, the first one.
Yeah, sure.
That was a decent show.
Michael Kinsley.
Michael Kinsley, smart fellow. Pat Buchanan, good show. On CNN, back when CNN was a different program.
Chris Christie would call Michael Kinsley a communist and a bum, maybe even a pablum puking liberal.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It's going to be humid today with more clouds than sun. A high of 85, and tonight a strong thunderstorm late. Storms may bring flooding and damaging winds. And then on Wednesday, severe thunderstorm in the afternoon, so that's when you can watch the Chicago fire. I think, no, they're not up yet. Just wait for the fire. They're coming back. Now to Jim Telemonte.
Schweinsteiger, good morning. Mr. Cass, good morning, Dan. In Chicago's downtown area, a couple of reopenings around Grant Park. Congress and Jackson have reopened after the cleanup Taste of Chicago wrapped up, so that's good news. The inbound Kennedy has a little bit of a delay now from the River Road toll to Canfield. 22 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound Fond at 20. Edens is clear. Inbound Eisenhower, 34 minutes. Thorndale to the old post office downtown. Outbound still fine at 29. Stevenson, 42 minutes, 355 to the drive. Clear outbound. Ryan is 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 23 minutes. I-80 to the merge. Tollways are fairly light. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
All right, I know you're bombarded with MyPillow ads everywhere you turn, not only from me, but on TV, billboards, and in print. But the reason is simple. It's the best pillow available. You deserve a restful and relaxing summer. And the July radio deal using my name, Amy, in the promo code is the best deal available. It's the 50% discount on a MyPillow 4-pack, including 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for half the price. You can move the fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll sleep deep and won't wake up to a stiff neck or headache. And our good friend Mike Lindell manufactures them in America using only American labor. You can wash and dry them. They're hypoallergenic. And you get a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So get your 50% off the 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy or visit MyPillow.com. That's 800-489-0201, promo code Amy.
Acme Home Insurance.
Yes, I'd like to make a claim.
What are you wanting to claim, sir?
My air conditioner broke down.
Sorry, but your home insurance doesn't cover air conditioner breakdowns.
So what do you cover?
Home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
A zombie apocalypse? But that'll never happen.
But if it did, you'd be covered, sir.
But not my air conditioner?
I'm afraid not.
But his air conditioner could have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus major components of 20 other home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, refrigerator, and more. For valuable free information, call 1-800-700-2119. Homeowners insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Be sure with the Shield. American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-700-2119. That's 1-800-700-2119. 1-800-700-2119.
Message and data rates may apply.
Have you ever forgotten your password? With all the accounts you have and all the rules around passwords, remembering every single one is impossible. That's why millions of people are turning to Dashlane, the award-winning app that protects your passwords and creates an easy, secure way to access all of your accounts. And right now, you can get access to Dashlane free for life on your favorite device just by texting SECURE to 543-543. Over 6 million users manage their passwords with Dashlane. Over 6,000 companies trust Dashlane. And over 70,000 reviews give it a 5-star rating. But the only number that really matters? 0. Because that's how many times you'll forget your passwords using Dashlane. With Dashlane, your passwords are never misplaced and never forgotten. Simple, safe, secure. Unlock free access to Dashlane on your favorite device for life right now. Just text SECURE to 543-543. That's SECURE to 543-543.
Message and data rates may apply. Please don't text while driving.
Did you know your organization's logo can do far more than you think?
Your logo carried my clothes to the gym.
Your logo kept my coffee warm all morning. Your logo charged my phone last night.
When the highly trained team at 4imprint put your logo on things people actually use, you'll be amazed at how powerful your logo can be. Not only will we unleash the full power of your logo, we'll show you the top 3 promotional items for driving new customers absolutely free. Text TEAM to 642-642 now. Every time your customers enjoy one of our promotional items with your logo, they'll think of you. Plus, with free art assistance, we'll make every item look fantastic for a great price. Satisfaction guaranteed.
Your logo keeps my laptop safe.
Your logo keeps me dry. Attract new customers, reward employees, and make a lasting impression. Discover the top 3 promotional items for free. Text TEAM to 642-642. That's TEAM to 642-642.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with the 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
All right, I have to admit it was an eyesore. The chipping and paint peeling on our front and back porch, it looked awful. But thanks to CertaPro painters, the porch looks brand new. The painters who showed up were professional, respectful. They were done in just a few hours, and when they left, the house looked brand new. They really are the best in the business, and it's not too late to book your exterior painting project. There are several spots open on CertaPro's summer schedule. Here's an idea. Let CertaPro painters transform your home while you're on vacation and return to a freshly painted house. They're celebrating their 25th anniversary this year, and so we invite you to experience the CertaPro difference. For a free estimate, call 1-800-GO-CERTA, CERTA, or visit CertaPro.com, that's Certa with the C. Get that painting project off your to-do list. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life.
According to the forecast, it's going to be a long, hot summer.
Russian collusion, James Comey, obstruction of justice, impeachment, White House leaks, Jeff Sessions, climate change, Islamic terrorism, Vladimir Putin.
Join AM 560's Joe Walsh for a very special event on Tuesday, August 22nd. It's the Summer of Trump, live at the Bolingbrook Golf Club, hosted by Joe Walsh and featuring Hugh Hewitt and Guy Benson. Tickets are available now at 560theanswer.com/summer. That's 560theanswer.com/summer.
On the roads this morning, the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. I'm Jim Talamonte. We're seeing some heavy traffic around O'Hare right now at 190. So westbound from the Kennedy Expressway to the Tri-State, the eastbound side looks good. All clear on the Edens. Kennedy inbound, 22 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 21. The Eisenhower, 35 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 29. Stevenson now 45 minutes, 3:55 to the drive. The Ryan, 23 minutes, 95 to downtown. I-57, 23 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop 422. Traffic, it's a service of Dove Men Plus Care. You hear that 91% of guys that use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommend it. Dove Men Plus Care user James said it has some kind of clever formula in there designed to look after the pits. That makes Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant a smart choice then, James. Pick some up at your local retailer today. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues after a full update from Fox News and your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Humid today with more clouds than sun, high 87. Tonight, mostly cloudy, warm and humid with a strong thunderstorm toward dawn, which could bring flash flooding and damaging winds, low 72. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
70 at O'Hare, 70 along the lakefront, 69 this morning in Aurora. The news, a service of LifeLock. It's morning. Here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more than threats to your identity. It can see if you're just monitoring your credit, and if something happens, a U.S.-based specialist will work on it to fix it. Go to LifeLock.com, use promo code RISK to save 10%. Here are the stories we're following this morning. In the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Still very few details coming out of Mississippi, where 16 were killed in a military plane crash. Fox News with the latest on that developing story in just a moment. CTA rail workers could be headed for a strike. Talks have been ongoing for 18 months. Cook County soda tax remains on hold for the time being after a ruling from an Illinois appellate court. Activists are calling for a Palos Township trustee to step down over comments she made about Muslim immigrants. And the Bulls signed free agent guard Justin Holiday to a 2-year deal worth about $9 million, while Wade Davis represents the Cubs and Avisaíl Garcia, the White Sox, at the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. 71 degrees at O'Hare. More Dan and Amy after Fox News, WIND Chicago News Time, 6.
Much ado about nothing. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's how Donald Trump Jr.'s lawyer reacts to the latest New York Times report on the president's oldest son and a meeting during the campaign with a Russian lawyer. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the Times report alleges that Donald Trump Jr. was informed in an email that potentially damaging information about Hillary Clinton was being offered as part of a Russian government effort to help his father win the White House. Mark Warner is ranking Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee.
This pattern is information comes out that they constantly recant and change their stories is, I think, very troubling.
Donald Trump Jr.'s lawyer says the meeting with a Russian attorney lasted about 20 to 30 minutes and nothing came of it, adding that Donald Jr. did nothing wrong. Dave.
Rachel, another show of force for America amid the North Korean threat. A successful missile test. The THAAD anti-ballistic missile system shot down its target early this morning off the coast of Hawaii. It's 14 for 14 in tests so far. Why did a military plane crash and burn in a soybean field in Mississippi? That is still a mystery. At least 16 people died. Fox's Tanya J. Powers has more live.
Investigators are still trying to answer that question, Dave. Emergency management officials say the KC-130, a Marine plane used as a refueling tanker, spiraled into the ground. Chris Nissen shot video of the scene and he posted it on Facebook.
You can't get too close to it, though. It's on fire.
That fire burned for at least 4 hours after the crash, with smoke visible for miles. Debris from the plane was scattered over a 5-mile radius from the crash site, Dave.
Tanya, a possible case of domestic terror last night in Oklahoma. A bomb went off outside an Air Force recruiting center. It was closed. No one was hurt. A U.S. soldier is accused of wanting to join ISIS.
The FBI Honolulu SWAT team arrested Ikaika Kang for material support to terrorism.
Special Agent Paul Delacourt says Kang wanted to give ISIS military documents, a drone, and combat training. Kang's lawyer says the soldier may have service-related mental health issues. Fox News, fair and balanced.
All Nissans are created equal. It's Nissan of St. Charles that makes the difference. At Nissan of St. Charles, we go the extra mile to make sure your happiness lasts as long as you own your vehicle. Every new Nissan or used vehicle we sell comes with our exclusive Lifetime Advantage warranty. So when you get your new Nissan at Nissan of St. Charles, you'll drive with peace of mind knowing it's backed by our exclusive warranty that lasts the lifetime of your vehicle. And be sure to ask about our Lifetime Tire program. Where else can you get a great deal on a new Nissan, a Lifetime Advantage warranty, and a Lifetime Tire program? The little things make all the difference. While all Nissans may be created equal, the difference is clearly Nissan of St. Charles. Located on North Avenue in the heart of St. Charles. Or visit us online at nissanofstcharles.com. That's nissanofstcharles.com. Nissan of St. Charles. Experience the difference.
As a small business owner, you make every dollar count. So what could you do with $10? Go to Vistaprint.com today and you'll get 500 high-quality custom business cards for only $9.99. That's less than 2 cents per card. And at Vistaprint, your satisfaction is absolutely guaranteed. So it's never been easier to turn 500 strangers into connections. Just visit Vistaprint.com and use promo code 4242 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code 4242.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, can I still take advantage of today's low rates? Is it still a good time to refinance? The answer is yes. Now's a great time to call Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.12%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldstone Financial, helping you become financially independent at goldstonefinancialgroup.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Chicago Tribune columnist John Cass.
Not for much longer if you keep up this tweeting barrage with your little I don't know what you call them, your army of like-minded, and B. Davis bowling ball, Amish texter. All you guys, I used to like you guys. Now I'm almost done with you.
If you can't stand up to them, then,
I don't have time. I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart like these people who can tweet and everything. I'm looking at actual news and stuff.
Damning with faint praise. I see what you're doing. All right, let's talk about something serious because Bernie Sanders wants to address the substance of health care in America. And he did that over a weekend in a rally. He's got to have rallies up in the maple syrup state because he's got a primary challenger. And he and his wife are likely to go to federal prison for bank fraud, so that's not good.
His wife.
Here's Bernie.
Now, obviously, nobody can predict exactly how many people will die if they lose their coverage. Nobody can make that prediction. But what experts at the Harvard School of Public Health estimate is that if 23 million Americans were to be thrown off the insurance they currently have, which is what the House bill would do, up to 28,000 Americans every single year could die. That is 9 times more than the tragic losses we suffered on 9/11 every single year.
So is the Republican proposal to replace Obamacare in the Senate 9 times worse than 9/11, or is it 5 times worse, or is it, at minimum 9 times worse, or is it 14 times worse?
Is it appropriate to take a policy difference and compare it to a terrorist attack?
Well,
or does it even bleeping matter anymore?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Are you persuaded by Comrade Bernie's argumentation on the matter?
Or there was one by Dick Durbin, the bullhead of Illinois, who said, if the Republicans break Obamacare, they own it. But I guess since Obama's broken, the Democrats don't own it. Nobody owns it.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Well, here's the challenge, right? The challenge with replacement is the challenge, as explained by George Mason economist Gordon Tullock 40 years ago, a piece on public choice economics for which James Buchanan from George Mason won a Nobel Prize, the transitional gains trap. The point is, the upshot of this is, once a government-sponsored institution is in place, the world adjusts to it, and even though something better may be designed, those invested in the existing institution will be harmed by the transition. They're trapped. The ordeal of change is painful. think about the disruptive innovation that Uber and Lyft provided for the taxi cab world and how it destroyed the valuation of medallions, the cartel that was taxi cabs in Chicago, New York, and big cities. Well, of course, when Uber and Lyft came on the scene, you had all the institutional beneficiaries of the system the way it is rail against Uber and Lyft, and they're still doing it, trying to leverage their political power to get politicians like de Blasio to curb Uber or Lyft, to curb these ride-sharing services. In the same way, Chicago and elsewhere. Now it helps in Chicago that Ari Emanuel's an investor, so that greased the skids a bit.
I think the comparison is like welfare reform. You put healthy people on welfare, and then you try to reform it by cutting the benefits, and immediately you are hurting people.
Well,
once you get them to buy into a program, it's almost politically impossible to take conferred benefits away.
Right, and they're right, and so that's just part of the transitional gains trap.
Yeah.
The difference is in the ride-sharing example, the disruptive innovation, the market change came from the outside. It came from the private sector, and it caught the public sector asleep. Here, with Obamacare replaced, you're asking for the political class to correct a benefit conferred by the political class, the public sector to correct itself. That is very different, as the public sector is not exactly known for positive disruptive innovation. So that's the real challenge.
And the characterization of it is taking away health care rather than perhaps reducing my benefits.
Well, now
my cost for health.
It's interesting the reaction from both the left and the right as Congress returns from the July 4th hiatus. Trump tweeting, "I cannot imagine that Congress would dare to leave Washington without a beautiful new health care bill fully approved and ready to go." The point that is taken from that tweet is that he is going to go after senators who are hurdles or perhaps act as poison pills for Obamacare replaced in the Senate. John McCain over the weekend declaring that it's effectively dead. There's a report out that Trump is willing to spend as much as $10 million against Jeff Flake, McCain's seatmate in Arizona in the United States Senate, just as one example kind of the pour engorger l'autre, using the Captain Bligh, lopping off a head to set an example for the rest. So Trump he seems willing to spend political capital to goad the Senate into action. The problem is you still have differences of opinion from the two poles within the party. You've got Cruz and Lee concerned that their amendment won't be included in the final bill, their Consumer Freedom Act that was sponsored by Cruz and Lee, which would provide health insurers the option of selling cheaper plans. This would allow insurers to provide less expensive plans that do not include all of the Obamacare essential health benefits, as long as they provided at least one plan that did. Okay, and this is a way to do a better job of driving down premiums through choice and competition. And then, of course, moderates are worried about the Medicaid expansion under Obamacare, and the federal government is still picking up the tab for that, at least in the near term, when you've had Republican governors like John Kasich fold in and put pressure on their Republican U.S. senators, like, say, Rob Portman in Ohio. So this is the dynamic. Now, last week we talked to a number of people, including Grover Norquist, who assured us that this is a very good chance of going through, yes, the ugliness that the House went through, but ultimately coming out the other side with something resembling a replace that would then be conferenced with the House, and you'd get a final replacement bill, however imperfect. But it seems this week, as they're just returning, that the prospects are dimming. And how important is this for Trump's policy agenda? How important is this for
Republicans to
He
keep
promised
the Congress.
repeal and replace. People expect it, but here's what they want. The people want, they voted for Trump. They want repeal, replace, but don't affect my health care. They see, once you get the bus rides, the free bus rides from Rod Blagojevich, you don't want to give them up, even if you don't use them.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing.
And they're afraid.
Here's the thing. So there was an interesting survey last week, USA Today Suffolk, on this. And, of course, the blaring headline was only 12% of Americans approve the Senate Republican plan, right? The subtext was only 11% of Americans want to keep Obamacare. So they dislike the kind of incoherent, unknowable, opaque nature of both what Obamacare is in practice as it death spirals and what the Senate GOP and to a similar extent the House GOP have proposed in its replacement, trying to make sense of it all and understand if this is going to give me the choice and quality at a reasonable cost that has been promised.
And what does that mean? Reasonable cost. Let's have competition. Companies can go across state lines to buy health care, blah, blah, blah. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm going to get screwed? Because that's what the average person wants to know. Am I going to get screwed or not? Am I going to end up paying more or not? And they don't get that answer. Nobody wants to give it to them because somebody's going to get screwed in this.
Well, that's part of it.
And they don't want to, and there's all this murky, babbling, barking.
Well, that's part of it, and the CBO scoring and all this, with the track record the CBO has, and the kind of competing numbers and the talking points in response to the competing numbers. Here's the thing: part of the problem, I should say, is what is my savings going to be? What is the expanse of my choice going to be? My quality of going to suffer in terms of what I can access? Part of that is unknowable precisely because we have this hybrid system where government is the driver of health insurance and thus health care in this country. It is a government-centric system. Government-centric systems throw off externalities, becomes difficult to predict because everything that government is the primary driver behind has unintended consequences.
I'll tell you one thing that's easy to predict, and you bring it up often on your show when you talk about why do the wealthy liberal North Shore cleave to the Democratic Party. In this context, it'll be the same thing because people with means want to maintain those means, and they go with who's powerful. And in this business of healthcare, ultimately it's going to be, Dan, do you know somebody who's a congressman that I could get to get my hip replaced?
Well,
ultimately,
right.
That's what it is.
You'll have the two
further
systems.
And further,
yeah, you'll have the two systems. I mean, somewhat similar to what we have today. It just becomes worse the more you turn over control of it to the government, because that will be the rationing body then, and then you'll find out, as I said yesterday on with Kristen McQuarrie, that government is not synonymous with compassion; it's synonymous with force. Now, you heard from Bernie Sanders comparing this to 9/11. Martha McCallum, I don't usually think of her as firebrand, but she offered a pretty good rebuke of congressional Republicans on her show yesterday, and I think it's worth a listen. She's pretty sharp, and I think she has a salient point here.
When one party wins control of Congress and the White House, they have a unique opportunity. During President Obama's time in office, the GOP railed on Obamacare. They said it was a disaster, terrible for patients and bad for businesses. Both, in fact, agreed with them, and much to the surprise of Republicans, apparently, elected them and the president to, among other things, do away with it. Now imagine this in your own life at the company where you work, that you keep complaining to the boss that if only he would let you, you could fix the company, and it would be so much better if he would only give you a shot. So one day the boss says, "You're on. Let's see what you got." And you say, "Well, I didn't think you would ever ask. See, my team is not quite sure, and it's actually much more complicated than anybody thought. You know what? Faster than the limo could pull up in front of Trump Tower, you would be headed home with your suitcase on wheels, and you would have a 0 approval rating at your company. We're kind of like Congress at 17%.
So if the Republican Congress fails to advance this replace, do they deserve to be turned out in November of 2018? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line.
How can they do it when the insurance industry hasn't written the bill yet or has written bills that have failed? I mean, that's the problem. A lot of these guys are tied into all these different interests, and they're writing the bills.
Well, that's a problem, but it's not a particularly compelling excuse, and it still prompts the same question. If that's how they want to cast their fate, should their fate be the minority? Tim in Woodstock, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning, Dan. Good morning, John.
Morning.
The blaring inconsistency, I think, in Bernie's argument, of course, is that we can predict how many people will be killed through abortion, 4,000 per day. So if I do my math right, that's 28,000 a week there, Bernie. But the other thing is that we've always based, our freedoms are based on principles, not statistics. And I really hate when people use statistics to try to prove their point with something like healthcare or whatever it might be. If all we're worried about is how many people were getting killed, we'd lower the speed limit to 15 miles an hour. In other words, Americans are willing to live with a certain amount of risk, and we don't want the government. The driving principle is the minimization of government in our life, and we are willing to live with a certain amount of risk in order to enjoy that kind of life.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Tim. It's a great point about our freedom isn't stat-driven. That's an excellent point. Jim in Elgin.
Yes, hi, Dan. Bernie talks about our healthcare system before Obamacare like it was free market. Well, this seldom comes up, but the employer-based health insurance system is not free market because the people who get health insurance through an employer, you know, that's a benefit that they get, and it's not taxed. It's not
right.
You know, and if it was taxed, I mean, the employers like it like that because if it were taxed, they'd have to pay Social Security and Medicare taxes on their part of the additional income that the employees receive. So, you know, Bernie acts like it's a free market. Was a free market system. To make it completely free market, you know, they need to, you know, tax the health insurance employees receive from their employer. But, you know, if that ever happened, I think that would, you know, the whole system would go away.
Thanks for the call. Thanks. Sorry to interrupt. Thanks for the call, Jim. Yeah, look, I mean, the whole kind of employer-driven nature of health insurance provision is a historical accident, too. But it goes back to the Gordon Tullock essay about the transitional gains trap. You know, once that system is placed and people adjust to it, it's difficult to root out, even if we all agree there's something better, because change is difficult. Change is an ordeal. You know, it's like moving. Well, I'll just you know, spend the rest of my days at Lake Point Tower because it's just too much of a hassle to move to the Carolinas or Nashville where everybody else is moving.
Rensselaer under the windmills for me.
Oh, that's nice. Sounds very nice. Larry and Bartlett.
Good morning, gentlemen. I've been in health insurance for 35 years, and no one's talking about the real problem here. Insurance companies do not buy claims. They spread risk. You have to serve it well for insurance, or you don't have insurance. It doesn't work. So what they have to understand is a protected risk pool, fully underwritten, and that's protected from cherry picking by the insurance companies. This is the solution. Therefore, you repeal but don't replace. Leave the market alone. Insurance companies cannot charge enough premium to cover the cost of claims, which they're forced to buy 3 months out of the year with Obamacare. It wasn't going to work. They knew it wouldn't work. It's a gambit to segue into political power or the single payer port in the storm we're faced with now.
Thanks for the call, Larry. Appreciate that from the practitioner's perspective.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
And now for your weather. Humid with more clouds than sun, high of 85. Tonight, a strong thunderstorm late. And tomorrow, severe afternoon thunderstorms. What say you, Jim Telemonte?
Good morning, John. Good morning, Dan. We see a little bit of a delay now on the inbound Edens, Foster to the junction. 20 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. Inbound Kennedy, slow from the River Road toll to Central, then at Division. Watch out for a large pothole blocking the right center lane. And now it's 25 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 22. Inbound Eisenhower, 40 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 34. Stevenson, now 49 minutes, 3:55 to the drive, outbound 5 to 34 minutes. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 21 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford, 17. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Reagan tollway to the Eisenhower. 80-94 westbound. Bottled up from I-65 to Grant. There's a stall on the left shoulder. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Hello, this is financial advisor Dale Bradley speaking to you from the Bradley Investment Center in Evanston. Have you ever made an investment through one of those large national brokerage firms? Have you ever felt like just a number? Well, at Bradley Investment Center, our goal is not to be the largest practice. It's simply to be the best by establishing and keeping true personal relationships. Visit us at BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. That's BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. Or better yet, stop by and say hello. We are at the corner of Central and Central Park in beautiful Northwest Evanston. We strive to be the center of all your family's investment needs. For more information, call the Bradley Investment Center at 855-940-8700. That's 855-940-8700.
Bradley Investment Center. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. Bradley Investment Center is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
The performance, conduct, and sustainability of organizations are a direct result of leadership. A leader's impact can be profoundly good or bad. We've experienced the devastating impact of unethical, selfish, and corrupt leaders. We've also experienced the impact of good and caring leaders whose honesty, integrity, and ethical conduct have created great organizations and a legacy of goodwill. Our challenging times require courageous, values-driven leaders to step up to these challenges. My name is Rich Panico. I am the founder and CEO of Integrated Project Management Company, IPM. I am blessed to lead a wonderful family of talented and caring leaders. Join us as we strive to change the world, one project at a time.
Trust IPM, the consulting industry's leader at executing your critical initiatives. For almost 3 decades, IPM has planned and executed projects in the life sciences, healthcare, consumer, and industrial sectors with honesty and integrity. Visit IPMCinc.com. That's IPMCinc.com. Or call Integrated Project Management's Chicago office at 630-789-8600.
All right, I have to admit it was an eyesore, the chipping and paint peeling on our front and back porch. It looked awful, but thanks to CertaPro painters, the porch looks brand new. The painters who showed up were professional, respectful. They were done in just a few hours, and when they left, the house looked brand new. They really are the best in the business, and it's not too late to book your exterior painting project. There are several spots open on CertaPro's summer schedule. Here's an idea. Let CertaPro painters transform your home while you're on vacation and return to a freshly painted house. They're celebrating their 25th anniversary this year, and so we invite you to experience the CertaPro difference. For a free estimate, call 1-800-GO-CERTA, CERTA, or visit CertaPro.com, that's Certa with the C. Get that painting project off your to-do list. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro painters, we do painting. You do life.
Hello, everyone, and here we go again with Karen Lewis and the Chicago Teachers Union demanding more money from the Chicagoland taxpayers. Well, I say enough is enough. The teachers get paid from the property taxes that homeowners pay every year. If the Teachers Union gets more money, that means your property taxes are going to go higher. This is Tom Marabali, your health insurance advocate and independent representative for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and other health insurance carriers. For months now, I have been telling you about purchasing health savings account PPO plans that will cost you approximately 40% less in monthly premiums than you're currently paying now. Well, the same thing applies to the Teachers Union. I can show the union that they can purchase a more comprehensive health insurance plan that is in full compliance with the Affordable Care Act and will cost the taxpayers up to 40% less in monthly health insurance premiums. For more information, you can call me at 630-863-3477. That's 630-863-3477.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and John Cass. And John, just a related story to the discussion we were having about Obamacare Replace, and frankly, government-centric health insurance and thus health care. Update on the Charlie Gard story from across the pond. A judge at London's High Court, which is playing both doctor and God with Charlie Gard's life, ruled against the hospital and in favor of the parents of Charlie Gard yesterday. Again, he's the 11-month-old baby suffering from a rare genetic disorder, mitochondrial DNA depletion syndrome. Ruled in favor of the parents that they may present new scientific evidence concerning their son's treatment, which will be reviewed now this Thursday and can possibly lead to Charlie receiving treatment in the United States. Brad Wenstrup, who's a Republican from Ohio, and Trent Franks, a Republican from Arizona, have introduced legislation that would allow Gard to be a permanent resident here to receive treatment if the British government will release the child to his parents.
The treatment is highly experimental. I don't think it's even worked on experiment in animals. But this is obviously a reaction by the ruling British class to public pressure on this issue. And they were willing to have this child die.
Well, and the question is, why isn't Charlie Gard, not to leverage this tragic circumstance for political gain, but it's part of an important conversation so this doesn't happen again. Why isn't he the poster child for government-run health care? Why aren't the likes of Comrade Bernie being asked questions about Charlie Gard here?
That's a question that I brought up to you before the break because I'm writing about that for tomorrow. I'd like to know why. Why aren't editors assigning this story, going up to Democrats and saying Durbin, Schumer, et cetera, et cetera?
All the proponents of single payer.
Right.
For decades.
What do you say about Charlie Gard in the context of this, of your support for single payer? Where are those stories, Dan?
We'll look forward to John Cass's column on topic.
Where are the stories?
Well, they're non-existent, and that's why we'll look forward to your column tomorrow on this.
Yeah, unless something else breaks. Yeah.
All right. Coming up at 6:36. Do you have more faith in colleges or police? New Pew research on these topics and those institutions after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Clouds this morning, 71 degrees, very humid out there. At 6:31 in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Very few details still coming out of Mississippi, where 16 were killed in a military plane crash. A Marine fueling tanker, a KC-130, went down yesterday in a soybean field. Fiery debris strewn for miles. Local law enforcement and federal agents investigating an explosion at an Air Force recruiting center in Oklahoma. Bixby Police Sergeant Tim Scrivener confirmed the basic facts overnight.
At approximately 22:30 hours, there's an explosion in front of the Air Force recruiting building.
The front doors of that building, according to Scrivener, were blown out. No word on how much damage the blast did inside the office. Police in Washington, D.C. say 80 were arrested for protesting Republican efforts to repeal and replace Obamacare and reform health insurance in this country.
Healthcare is a human right.
A statement from Capitol Police say officers responded to 13 locations in the House and Senate office buildings. They first issued warnings. Those who did not respond and alter behavior were arrested. A U.S. soldier faces charges in Hawaii on accusations he tried to help ISIS. The 34-year-old accused of attempting to give military documents and training to the terror group. CTA rail workers could be headed for a strike. Bargaining continues. Talks have been going on for 18 months. The CTA says any type of strike would be illegal. Cook County soda tax remains on hold for the time being. The judge issuing a temporary restraining order last month. Yesterday, that ruling was upheld by an Illinois appellate court. Bulls signed free agent guard Justin Holiday, 2 years, $9 million. Closer Wade Davis represents the Cubs. Evisaio Garcia represents the White Sox on the AL squad for tonight's All-Star game in baseball. The news, a service of Burger King breakfast. Right now at participating Burger King restaurants, you can get 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. 2 croissant, $4. Breakfast on a light flaky croissant, only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. Restrictions apply. 6:34, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees a world upside down.
The brainwashed, educated, they're sick. The world is upside down. Good is bad and bad is good. It's just, in every arena, it's hard to get your mind around it.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, great coffee, period.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
6:36. Let's get an update on the roads and the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. And here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. In Northwest Indiana, traffic is stop and go on 8094 westbound from I-65 to Grant, where there's a stall blocking the left lane. Edens, 25 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 20. Kennedy, 32 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. At Division, watch out for a large pothole blocking the right center lane. Outbound, 24 minutes. Downtown to the airport. The Eisenhower, 47 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 34. Stevenson, now 57 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 34. Bryan is 31 minutes, 95th to downtown. North on Tri-State Heavy, 87th to the Mile Long Bridge. From the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis and from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Traffic is a service of Staples. When it's time for last-minute changes to a big presentation, let Staples be your office away from your office with everything you need to print, scan, or fax. Access files from a USB, email, or the cloud, and use the self-serve machines to avoid waiting and get back to business. Staples, it's pro time. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, a very humid day. More clouds than sunshine show up. High of 85. Overnight, strong thunderstorms could shake the windows. Low 72. Currently, we have 71 degrees. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with the Chicago Tribune's John Cass joining Dan here on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Advanced Planning Advisors, bringing you Smart Money Talk with Mike Moylan and Rob Curvin, Saturday mornings at 6.
Hey, coming up on the Joe Walsh Show tonight, you may think there are two political parties in this country, but there aren't. Put that away. We'll talk about it when Freedom returns at 5.
Good morning, Dan and John Cass in for Amy this morning, and some interesting survey research out from Pew on one hand and Gallup on the other. Which do you have more or less confidence in? Which do you think are which one do you think is more of a positive force in American society, colleges or police? No, I'm combining the two. That's not exactly the question they asked. But Pew Research looked at the public's views on colleges. A majority of Republicans and Republican-leaning independents, 58%, now say that colleges and universities have a negative effect on the country, which is up from 45% last year. So almost a 25% increase in 1 year, more than a 25% increase in a single year. By contrast, most Democrats and Democrat leaners, 72%, say colleges and universities have a positive effect, which is little change from recent years. 58% of Republicans and leaners say universities negative effect. 72% of Democrat leaners say colleges positive effect. Now on police, this is from Gallup. Confidence in police drops below 50% among the young, Hispanic, and Democrats. It's below 40% among self-identified liberals. Overall, confidence in police is actually up 5 points. So there is a divide, and the gap is widening. So how do you interpret these numbers, Mr. Cass?
Only 8 states in the United States administer standardized tests in civics for high school graduates. California, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Missouri, Ohio, Virginia, and West Virginia. And all of this, the antipathy, the right's growing antipathy toward colleges, the liberal fascism on campuses, and the anti-police rhetoric that spills over, all of it's related, I think, in some respect, to the fact that our teachers do not teach civics and responsibility of citizenship in our schools.
Do you think, so I think where you're going is to say that these numbers are reflective of the cultural divide.
Cultural divide and ignorance.
Right, and so you have the left, which is beset by cultural Marxism, and
establish the playing rules. They control the field in terms of shaping the minds of American young, and have for the past 30 years. And that's why you're seeing the kids on the liberal college kids so anti-free speech, except when it comes to screaming about cops on the streets.
Right, but this is no longer going unnoticed per these numbers, and per what's happening at, say, University of Missouri. New York Times piece over the weekend. Freshman enrollment at the Columbia campus, the system's flagship, has fallen by more than 35% in the 2 years since the riots on campus, forcing the university system president and campus chancellor to both resign. The university administration acknowledges the main reason is the backlash from those events in 2015. University is temporarily closing 7 dorms, cutting more than 400 positions, and Times piece goes on. Few areas have been spared. The library is even begging for books.
I was there in Missouri just a few weeks ago for graduation of my niece from the university's journalism school, and I noticed that their head speaker, the lead speaker, I forgot her name, was a South American socialist who talked about reporters having to have a sort of collective mentality. When I heard that, I was like, okay, I'm checking out here.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm checking out. This is like,
But it's not happening everywhere. University of Missouri is suffering the consequences of turning the campus over to the cultural Marxists, both the students as well as the professorate. But not every place is. And so
Hillsdale College?
No. Not every place is suffering the consequences for cultural Marxism run amok on the campus.
What's going on in Evergreen State?
Well,
are they still devouring their liberal professors?
For example.
Right.
But the question, but it is an interesting question particularly from our audience. I think the question about do you have confidence in police, I think I know the answer to that, but we'll take calls on it. But the real question is, that's a big number. 58% say universities are a net negative in American culture. The institutions of higher learning, some of the great universities in the world, the greatest university system in the world, some that have produced some of the most important intellects in
the world,
in the history of man.
Right.
And we're saying that those institutions, taken writ large, are now a net negative in American culture. That is a jarring statement to me.
How else can people look at it? If you have Yale, which is, I guess you would put that at one of the, at the upper strata. Yale University or college, whatever you call it, kicked out or ran off 2 professors for daring to tell students, don't get so upset about who wears what costume at Halloween. And then remember the woman that the students screamed and cried.
Right.
And whoever that woman is, they should make a statue of her.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I'd like to hear from people about whether they agree with the 58% of Republicans and Republican-leaning independents who now say that colleges, universities have a negative effect on our country. And, the stories are legion. We do our Campus Beat segment routinely. And, just a quick perusal in addition to University of Missouri. Duke Law School offers social justice lawyering classes. We'll teach lawyers about professional responsibility and the ethical challenges they might face in lawyering for social justice.
Why don't they just become reporters? Because that's what.
Yeah,
I think
sort of is.
Many journalists now are crusaders for social justice, whatever the bleep social justice is. What is it, Dan?
Well, the idea. Listen to this. This is Duke Law.
Right.
This is a discussion and a course to instruct attorneys about problems that could arise when a lawyer's vision of social justice is in conflict with the requirements of professional responsibility. What the hell are you talking about?
What's your responsibility? Representing your client, you weasel.
Right, representing your client's
Not
interests, a zealous representation of your client's interests within the confines of the law and the canons. What's complicated? We have to be philosophically aligned. Hey, a guy accused of armed robbery. Are you a Rawlsian? I just want to make sure we're on the same page before we go to trial.
I want to make sure that
the frack are they talking about?
I want to make sure the lawyer's wearing pants. Walk in and see him in shorts. I'm walking out.
Northwestern, new assistant director of fraternity and sorority life. Here, the value of my degree goes down again. Northwestern University. The new assistant director of fraternity and sorority life on the Evanston campus will be responsible for, among other things, the coordination of social justice education programming. Social justice, by the way, just so you understand.
What does it mean?
It is cultural Marxism. It is just a euphemism for cultural Marxism. Deconstructionism. We've talked to Professor Jordan Peterson, the psychology professor from Toronto University, who has talked at length about this under great duress on his campus as well as others. That's what this is. And that you have positions dedicated to this instruction. By the way, it's not just at colleges, as we've talked about before. The alma mater of one tiny dancer, Sarah Lawrence. And I will ask the question I always ask about this. It's rhetorical. What kind of dude goes to Sarah Lawrence? Okay. The month-long...
I don't know. Give Ron a break. I remember at some point when I was 19, 18, I pretended to be a leftist because there were some cute girls at University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Is that what you think Tiny Dancer was doing?
I'm just saying that I think we're all irrational at that point in our life, driven by we're salmon swimming upstream.
Yeah,
upstream, right?
Upstream, yeah, as in
Right.
ideas. At Sarah Lawrence College, where you can send the aspiring ballet dancer in your life, the month-long social justice intensive summer program vows to teach high schoolers, quote, theoretical, historical, and present-day perspective on issues such as class, gender, sexuality, and race. High schoolers will be taught how to dismantle larger systems of oppression.
Deconstruction. But you can't teach that crap unless you've completely pulled civics out of the schools and talked about the
Well,
individual responsibility of the citizen.
It's more than civics, right? It's values.
That too, but all of it.
How about this? When the left eats their own, we've talked about Evergreen State. How about Howard? Howard University. A test question about hot wax has landed one Howard University professor in hot water with Title IX investigators. 504-day Title IX investigation of law professor Reginald Robinson, who was deemed responsible for sexual harassment.
Because?
2 students complained about a test question involving a Brazilian wax and an upset client.
This was a law.
Yeah.
A question about law. Okay.
Yeah, it was a question. Yeah, I mean, I guess it was a colorful example to in the context of a law school
Red
exam.
sashes, anti-sex league, rat cages on the face. Read the book. See what's coming. It's here.
Said the law professor Reginald Robinson, my case should worry every faculty member at Howard and perhaps elsewhere who teaches in substantive areas like law, medicine, history, and literature. Why? None of these academic areas can be taught without evaluating and discussing contextual facts, especially unsavory and emotionally charged ones. I also can't prepare my students adequately for legal practice if I can't teach them new developments and require them to read unedited, unfiltered cases. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Is this a gender thing? 2 women not wanting the man to, if a woman brought it up in sort of, teaching the chalice and the blade law, view of the law, it would be okay. I think there's some
it's certainly not
gender stuff going on.
It's certainly not paper chase, is it? Certainly
Mine's
not
full
Professor
of mush.
Kingsfield.
No.
Marvin in Lake Geneva. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I had a comment on the colleges and also the police. I think especially just become tax collectors in uniform. They're so politicized. They're not there to. They did a terrible job, and I know it's very difficult. But they're more now centered around. Seems to me like you do one little thing wrong, and they're going to pounce on you to give you a ticket. And But boy, the killings, the murders, and the drug dealing still marches on. I'll give you a prime example about the politicization. You got bicycles running all over the city. Now, one time have I ever seen a bicyclist pulled over for disobeying a stop sign. But boy, if you're a car, a truck, or somebody who's actually paying taxes to use the road, you do one little thing wrong, and they got you on camera. They send you a ticket, and you have no recourse.
Yeah, but that's not the cops.
Thanks for the call, Marvin.
Marvin, that comes from the mayor himself, Mr. Bike Bear.
Well,
Okay.
How about police on the roads? I mean, I mention this all the time. The pacing, the guy pacing in the left lane doing 55 miles an hour doesn't never
And
gets a ticket.
texting.
Never
Texting.
Well, whatever. Say he's not texting. He's pacing and he's creating a hazard, and
Right.
I never see somebody pulled over or hear about somebody pulled over for that. So you're right. I mean, I think the politicization of the police that's that's on the civilian political leadership. That's
Sure.
not on police officers.
That says,
generally speaking.
That says, leave the little bike people alone on the north side where I need votes, and you can bust a few as an excuse on the south side if you see some kid, where they're slinging dope, you can bust them for bike evasion.
Well, let me tell you
Right.
something. Living over in Streeterville, I am inundated with aspiring Tour de France bike riders all over the place in full battle garb.
I love the spandex.
It's a joke.
pants.
Yeah,
They wear little costumes.
especially on
They-
fat dudes.
well, that's why I don't wear them. But they ruined the same type of attitude ruined cigars a few years ago. They drove up the same type of everything's a costume to certain people. The cigar was a costume. The little bike, all the the costume of the bike rider. It's just a pose, and
I agree with Marvin on the bike riders too.
Yeah.
You better watch out around Lake Point Tower.
I can't stand it.
Drop you like a sack of potatoes. Mike on the north side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Mike.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. John Cass, what happened to you? You used to be a working class, a middle class guy. Just a few minutes ago, you were saying give Rahm a break.
He moved to the suburbs.
Wait a second.
Did you join the Romulus Party or something?
Well, I coined the Romulus Party. What are you talking about? Who's
Yeah.
9.5 fingered? Who did that?
Yeah, okay.
Come on.
Well, look at all these homicides on the streets of Chicago, people dying. Homicides, because he's let the police department wither. You used to be a regular guy, John. What happened?
He was a regular guy when he had 800 guys from the Department of Water.
Come on.
From Tom's Act.
Go Chris Christie on Mike from the north side.
Mike, yeah, I can't because, I can't go against him.
No, John, you used to be a regular guy.
Oh, now
Right
we're going
about
to keep
beer can
pushing it.
chicken.
You're pushing it now, Mike?
Beer can chicken.
There
I
it
think
is.
you've been co-opted.
I
There
think
it
I
is.
got to see you someplace. Let's go.
Oh, wow, there
I'll
it
see
is.
you.
There's the Chris Christie coming
I'll
up.
see you. No. Mike and I are going to
Alone
have
on a
breakfast.
beach.
Mike, I'm just going to call you up for breakfast in Chinatown about 3 a.m., okay?
Thanks for the call,
Oh,
Mike.
All right, see you.
Candace in DuPage, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning.
Hey.
I moved out here because of these Chinese Tenement Square bicyclists downtown, and now we have like this little movement of the bike hags, I call them, out here on York Road out in DuPage County, and I cannot stand them, and I often roll down my window and yell things at them because
Nice.
I don't want the movement catching on.
Wait a second, Candace. You mean in the shortcut between Ogden and Cermak? The bike hags are
You know that nice street in Hinta, like where the Gras Mill is? And
Yeah, I know exactly.
Oh, yeah, it's lovely.
So you'll see. I mean, when you drive down York,
Of course, John Cass.
you'll see a lot of
Suburbanite.
early in the morning. You know.
Uh-huh. That
So
and then
I
and then in the afternoon they get in their SUVs and run down anybody that's in their way
Thanks for the
between
call,
3:30 and 5.
I was trying to have a high-minded discussion of universities, and it got
Let's get to all politics is local,
turned
Dan.
to going after all the Lance Armstrong wannabes. They probably are. All these middle-aged men and women are probably doping too, just to keep it all Quran.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs, the president holding the Senate's feet to the fire on Obamacare, a battle over the Chicago Stock Exchange and wholesale trade figures on tap. Those stories next.
Have you racked up more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? You should know. The credit card companies are tricking you into thinking there's no way out. Credit card companies would rather you didn't know that there are ways you can become debt-free and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. There are debt relief programs that help people like you escape overwhelming credit card debt. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $500 million of debt. National Debt Relief has helped so many people. They're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. You don't have to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan. You have the right to settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Reduce a portion of your debt now. Call National Debt Relief at 800-975-5115. 800-975-5115. That's 800-975-5115.
President Trump pressuring lawmakers to repeal and replace Obamacare in advance of the congressional August recess. The House approved its bill in May, but Senate leaders dragging their feet, lining up enough votes to successfully pass their chamber's version. Federal regulators being called on by a dozen lawmakers, both Republicans and Democrats to reject the takeover of the Chicago Stock Exchange by a coalition that includes Chinese investors. Economic reports out today include the job openings and labor turnover report and an update on wholesale trade figures. Tesla's electric vehicle sales numbers in Hong Kong fell to zero following the government's curtailing a tax break for the electric cars. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern, on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
It's absolutely amazing that the combination of these capsules improves your health. It does tell you the value of food and nutrition.
I actually can feel a difference. I really can.
I love the product. It's wonderful. I can't live without it.
It's really helping me. Every time I take it, my body says, thank you.
This is the first winter that I went through that I didn't get a cold.
I love my fruits and veggies. I'm a line dancer, and I just turned 78, and it has made a big difference in my stamina and just my overall well-being, and I have so enjoyed them. I just love taking them and what they do for me.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. Belied by his promiscuity and policy is a discipline President Trump possesses that few other Republican politicians do. Trump knows who his audience is, who it is not, and he consistently leverages the latter to maintain the loyalty of the former. Trump is still speaking to and for the deplorables, those forgotten Americans who play by the rules only to be gamed by the system they finance. Al Cervic got into the club, but instead of cozying up to Judge Schmales, he's bringing his friends in with him. You can at once blanch at Trump's behavior and appreciate the truth it generates. Rocco Moose helped NATO allies find their wallets, and they did. The more lurid Trump's conduct or supercilious his comment, the more Trump's opponents voluntarily lay bare their barbarism. Trump tweets a fake wrestling video. CNN hyperventilates about make-believe violence, in stark contrast to the short shrift it gives actual violence perpetrated by the left, be it an assassination attempt on GOP congressmen, riots at Berkeley, assaults of professors, or attacks on police. The success of Trump's presidency remains an open question, but at least he knows for whom he fights.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
A Democratic senator calls it an attempt at collusion. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Ron Wyden reacting to reports about Donald Trump Jr. meeting with a Russian lawyer during the campaign. Fox's Rachel Sutherland has the newest details live from Washington.
Dave, the New York Times reports that Donald Trump Jr. agreed to the meeting knowing that dirt on Hillary Clinton would be coming from the Russian government. The paper cites an email that came from Robert Goldstone, a British music publicist who helped set up the meeting in June of 2016. The younger Trump's newly hired lawyer says the story is much ado about nothing, and his client had no knowledge as to what specific information, if any, would be discussed. The White House has said the president did not know about the meeting. Dave.
Rachel, President Trump has tweeted a shot at Senate Democrats this morning, writing they can't win, so all they do is slow down and obstruct.
Only 50 Trump nominees have been confirmed out of 242 nominations as of June 30th this year, compared to 186 confirmations out of 336 nominations at this same point under the Obama administration in 2009. But Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says the administration has only itself to blame, telling the AP, quote, no administration in recent memory has been slower in sending nominees to the Senate.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. What went wrong at 20,000 feet? The Marines aren't saying yet. The morning after a military plane slammed into a Mississippi soybean field in a fiery crash, killing at least 16 people.
The Marine aircraft was a KC-130. The plane has multiple uses in the military, such as carrying cargo and troops or for in-flight refueling operations. The FBI is also on the scene as authorities continue to search over a debris field that stretched for miles.
Fox's Kelly Wright. The U.S. has passed another missile defense test. The THAAD system shot down its target off the coast of Hawaii overnight. Coffee drinkers live longer. That's what 2 new studies conclude. Researchers looked at the health histories of thousands of people, finding those who drank coffee were at less risk of disease. Fox News, fair and balanced.
72 degrees, clouds, and sunshine this morning. On AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. No one is in custody after a man was shot and killed inside a paratransit van on Chicago's South Side. Police tell us this morning the shooting happened near 83rd and Stony Island. CTA train operators say they're ready to strike over a lack of contract. AM 560's David Stewart has more on this developing story.
At City Hall, Local 308 of the Amalgamated Transit Union announced that a preliminary strike vote shows 98% support for a strike, though no potential date has been set. Local President Kenneth Franklin says the CTA is hurting its workers.
Increasing the number of part-timers, diminishing our pension system, and causing havoc in our workers' financial pockets.
The union hasn't had a contract for 18 months. Their disputes have been submitted to arbitration. The CTA says a strike would be illegal. David Stewart, NBC News Radio, Chicago.
The Cook County soda tax remains on hold for the time being. A judge issuing a temporary restraining order last month preventing the penny-announced tax from being levied. That ruling was upheld yesterday by an Illinois appellate court. The Republican who led the effort to support Illinois' 32% income tax increase is being demoted. House Republican leaders yesterday stripping State Rep Steve Anderson of his position as floor leader. Anderson had led 15 Republicans to vote for the income tax increase and provided votes that were needed to override Governor Bruce Rauner and usher in that new state budget. Two suburban Park Ridge boys are accused of threatening to use a gun at Maine South High School during summer school. The 12-year-old and 15-year-old were arrested yesterday after making threats on social media. The post did show the pair holding a gun. Both were charged with unlawful use of a weapon and disorderly conduct. Bulls signed free agent guard Justin Holiday, a 2-year deal worth $9 million. Closer Wade Davis represents the Cubs at the All-Star game in Miami, while Avisail Garcia represents the White Sox on the AL squad. The news service of Napa Auto Parts this month. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores, Napa Full Synthetic Motor Oil is on sale for just $4.29 a quart. Quality motor oil at an affordable savings. When you get Napa Full Synthetic General States pricing, sale prices do not include applicable state or local taxes or a recycling fee. 7:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hi, this is Jeff from Basement Flood Protector. Finishing a basement requires a tremendous amount of time and money, transforming concrete walls into living space better suited for children playing, friends watching football, or just hanging out. But how many of you made the investment in a sump pump system that ensures the protection of your new living space in the event of heavy rains, mechanical failures, and power outages? You went from concrete to carpet, maybe concrete to hardwood, and in the event of a flood, you're going to go from squeegee to replacing floors. However, by joining our network of 25,000 customers, you will enjoy the same peace of mind knowing your basement is safe regardless of weather conditions because of early warning mechanisms and simply having equipment that just works as expected. We are Basement Flood Protector. Protecting homes from flooding is all we do. I invite you to call today at 800-238-0822 or visit don'tflood.com to learn more and for no-nonsense pricing. That's 800-238-0822 or don'tflood.com. Use the call letters of this station for a 5% discount.
As a small business owner, you make every dollar count. So what could you do with $10? Go to Vistaprint.com today and you'll get 500 high-quality custom business cards for only $9.99. That's less than 2 cents per card. And at Vistaprint, your satisfaction is absolutely guaranteed. So it's never been easier to turn 500 strangers into connections. Just visit Vistaprint.com and use promo code 4242 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code 4242.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Think you can't manage the down payment it takes to purchase a new home? Think again. You could move into a $150,000 home with as little as $1,500 down with our 1% down payment option. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.12%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
7:06 and a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. South Shore Line. Westbound train 106 is 30 to 40 minutes behind. Set for a medical emergency. Elmhurst got a crash on 83 at North Avenue. Eden's inbound is heavy Niles Center to the junction. 25 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 22. Kennedy 32 minutes O'Hare to downtown. At Division in the right center lane, there's a large pothole. Outbound 36 minutes downtown to the airport. Mount Eisenhower now 50 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, 34 from Manheim, outbound 40 to Thorndale. Stevenson 57 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 39. Ryan 30 minutes, 95 to downtown, I-57 21 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop Ford 16. Northbound Tri-State stop and go from Southwest Highway to the Hinsdale Oasis and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial, heavy Army Trail to 290, 8094 westbound, it's the Y65 to Grant. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
More clouds than sun today with a high 87, then a strong late-night thunderstorm tonight, which could bring flash flooding and damaging winds, low 72. Morning shower or thunderstorm tomorrow, followed by clouds and sun, then watch for a severe afternoon thunderstorm, high 91. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
72 officially at O'Hare, 71 along the lakefront. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with the Chicago Tribune's John Cass joining Dan on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Radio Garden Sense, a show bringing your property's gardening needs alive. Radio Garden Sense, Sunday mornings at 11 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning, famed Chicago Tribune columnist John Cass.
Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, John. Great to have you with us again. And
although I get depressed every time I'm on the show.
Why?
Because I realize that society's going to hell in a handbasket. I'm just everything's going to hell. What can I say?
Don't worry. I think Donald Trump Jr. is going to be okay, if that's what you're
referring to.
referring
I'm not worried about him, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, Donald Trump Jr., development in that story yesterday, the New York Times reporting that Trump Jr. was informed in an email that the material he was to receive that was damaging to Hillary Clinton in this meeting with this Kremlin-connected lawyer was part of a Russian government effort to aid his father's candidacy, according to 3 unnamed people with knowledge of the email. The email to Trump Jr. was sent by Rob Goldstone, who is a publicist and former British tabloid reporter who helped broker the June 2016 meeting that included Kushner and Manafort and Trump Jr. and this Russian attorney, where they allegedly talked about both the Magnitsky Act, which deals with banking and the banking privileges of Russians in this country, and as well as Russian adoption, Americans adopting Russian children, which Putin prohibited in response to the Magnitsky Act because he was upset about the freeze being put on certain Russians from doing banking in the United States. Goldstone's message, as described in the New York Times by 3 people, indicates the Russian government was the source of the potentially damaging information. It does not elaborate on the wider effort by Moscow to help the Trump campaign.
If the Russians wanted to have a destabilization campaign, they couldn't have done any better with all this and the media carrying it on. And Trump flailing and Trump people not answering questions properly. It's not good. Not good.
Well, it seems to me that, one of the big problems the Trump team has is this Despacito game they're playing. Despacito, quiero respirar tu cuello despacito. You like Daddy Yankee, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just wanted to play a little bit
like
of the
that,
song
'cause
to
it-
break it up because I thought that maybe this would improve your attitude. You're a little,
Kinda
you're a little
gets me
depressed.
going.
Yeah, it's a fun song.
The pelvis starts moving.
But my,
Well,
please don't ever say that again on the air. I believe
You started it with the other stuff, so I'm just go on, just keep moving.
So Despacito slowly, and the Trump team slowly telling the full story, or at least giving the appearance that they're slowly telling the full story about some meetings. Now, could this all be chalked up to sloppiness and faulty recollections? Possibly. But that doesn't necessarily inspire any more confidence. And frankly, the end result of it is it leaves the Trump administration beset by this story and paying an opportunity cost with respect to the political capital they have to leverage their policy agenda and the attention they pay as a team to advancing said policy agenda. So there are consequences to the way the Trump team has handled this, even though I say again, and I can see the point. I know I'm.
Where's the crime?
Well, right. Yeah, that's what Trump supporters are going to say, and others that are just kind of fair arbiters of the matter on the merits of it, like Alan Dershowitz, a self-identified liberal, self-identified Hillary Clinton voter. But there still has been no statute pointed to, no law alleged to have been broken. It's all under the umbrella of collusion, which is not illegal in a vacuum.
But this is also, years from now, anthropologists from another planet will land on the United.
Okay, Stephen Hawking.
And they will see this as sort of evidence of what happens.
The decline of the empire?
Of course, the empire is already declining, but they will see what happens when the state fights back against an insurgent. I'm not talking about just deep state stuff. This is all the media, the
big government media.
Government, all of it, the empire, fighting back against this guy and helping to hurt itself in the process.
Well, right. And so as the fourth estate becomes indistinguishable from the state, it loses its credibility. And so you start...
By definition, it's part of it. And they're also in Washington, they are clearly, New York Times, the nonsense from my former colleague Jeff Zelazny the other day about Trump's speech about the West was...
white America,
whatever.
First.
That was nonsense. That's not even understanding what the history of Poland is all about in terms of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and their fight against the Turks. Nothing. No, they're 27-year-old know-nothings, the way Ben Rhodes described them. But all that means they are merely the guardians of the empire.
Well, you know what's funny is sad is, on the one hand, they talk about the importance of the free press because they're so self-indulgent and such navel-gazers as a cornerstone of a free society, and they're right about that.
Yes,
but they're the ones dissembling the institution they seek to protect. They're the ones undermining it, and thus and seeing yet another civic institution, the Fourth Estate, crumble before our very eyes.
To your earlier,
to some extent,
to the story of Trump and Donald Trump Jr. and the meeting and all that, if the Washington press corps weren't so hideously biased, the other day the ridiculous story about the shooter from Bolingbrook was triggered by right-wing talk radio, right? That was the Washington Post story.
You mean the shooter from Southern Illinois?
From Southern Illinois,
yeah,
Southern
from
Illinois. Bellevue.
Belleville. Should have been in Bellevue.
Going to Virginia and shooting. That was triggered by right-wing talk radio. It was complete and utter nonsense.
Yeah, right.
But still, on course with the attitude of the Washington press corps, so that when stories like this come out about Trump Jr. in the meeting, you have to say, wait a minute. They still haven't cleaned up their act from collusion with the DNC before the election.
Glenn Thrush, New York Times reporter, I'm a hack for the DNC, running stories through the Clinton team before they go to press. The story you talk about.
What's the name? Yeah.
Glenn Thrush.
Yeah.
And John Podesta. But here's the thing. The story that you talk about, the Washington Post, the story about that Virginia shooter, he may have listened to this talk radio guy in Southern Illinois. We don't know, but we're going to just offer the possibility that he listened to him and the possibility that he was triggered by it. That's a news story at Amazon, the Amazon Post?
I can't believe that such a thing got past editors and was published, but the fact that it is part of a larger issue, like you said. Glenn Thrush, wherever he was working before, colludes and now is on at the New York Times. In other words, you get promoted if you collude with the state, with the establishment. And then you run the whole thing is just hypocritical.
He went from Politico to New York Times.
Right. It's like we've seen this movie. It was called Gladiator.
Well, there's other things going on, by the way. So, for example, this is underreported, but thanks to the digital age, you have a ubiquity of outlets that cover stories that aren't covered by the D.C. press corps. A London-based businessman investigated last year by the same opposition research firm behind the Trump dossier will testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee next week. This guy's name is Bill Browder, and he says he will definitely be testifying about a complaint he filed with the Justice Department last year in which he accused Fusion GPS, the firm behind the dossier, and a former Soviet intelligence officer named Renat Akhmetchin of violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act, requiring agents of foreign governments to disclose lobbying and consulting work. Now, the other thing about the Trump Jr. meeting, there was a question, and this was raised by a spokesman for Trump's legal team, that this was perhaps a plant of Fusion GPS, which was commissioned to do this dossier on Trump and otherwise gather op research on Trump for Hillary Clinton, that this may have all been a setup from the Democrats. So, this could go a lot of different directions.
It's all disinformation. It's all inside baseball stabbing, backstabbing between another Game of Thrones, Littlefinger and Varys the eunuch. But in the meantime, the tax reforms aren't going through. The so-called change in healthcare is not going through, and without that, tax reform doesn't go through, which is the whole idea of the state to stop this stuff from happening. And the result will be, after Trump fails, if he does, what are you going to do with all of the deplorables out there? You're going to deport them? What are you going to do? Because then that really becomes a problem.
Well, the question is, does the revolt continue? Do people see Trump as stymied at every turn by an intransigent minority in Congress, and frankly some feckless Republican leadership as well? And they don't blame Trump, but they do blame the political class he's up against, and that includes the Fourth Estate. And so they give him a pass, but the Republican Party suffers, generally speaking, even if Trump survives, much like happened to Obama. He was kind of separate and distinct from the Democrat Party that hemorrhaged under his presidency, but he didn't really. He didn't suffer the consequences individually. Now, one other piece of this too is the Daily Caller reminding us of a Politico report that a veteran DNC operative who previously worked with the Clinton White House, her name is Alexandra Chalupa, worked with Ukrainian government officials and journalists both in Ukraine and in America to dig up Russian-related opposition research on Trump and Paul Manafort. She shared her research with both the DNC and the Clinton campaign. So that's a left operative doing op research in conjunction with agents of a foreign government to provide material that could be damaging to Trump, to the Hillary Clinton campaign. How is that? Is that collusion? Is that tinkering with the election? Is that high crime and misdemeanor? I mean, what's the standard here? I mean, I know this
there is no standard,
goes back and forth, but
that's the problem. There is no standard. There is no reasonable broker of opinion information. None of that. It's all tribal barking of dogs, and that's ultimately, I think that's the end of empire.
Holly and Hudson, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, good morning, you two. I sure hope that Amy is enjoying Europe as much as I'm enjoying your guest host.
Oh, thank you.
Holly, you're awesome.
Great couple weeks. I think this collusion thing is working out so well for Trump because it's giving him cover for not getting much done. Just like you were just saying, when re-election time comes around, he just has to look in the camera and say, I tried. These people are crazy. They're trying to keep me from accomplishing goals to help you in your life. And it's just giving him cover. I think it's really going to work out in his favor.
All right. Thanks for the call, Holly. Pete in Montgomery.
Morning, Dan. Morning, John.
Hey, Pete.
So I guess I'm just too simple, but doesn't opposition research require you to research the opposition and talk to people?
Yeah, and you meet them at a diner at 2:00 in the morning in Chinatown with Mikey, the city worker. Yeah, they just pass you a dossier.
You don't have to. You can meet them for lunch.
You can?
Yeah, sure.
You don't have to meet in some alley with Ratso Rizzo?
No. Pete, thanks for the call and for the common sense. And as somebody who has commissioned a lot of opposition research in my life, let me tell you that Pete summed it up nicely. Yes. You either look into it yourself, you retain somebody to focus on pulling together all the public information that's possible, the news clips, other information that can be gleaned legally.
What is the best way to drop it on reporters? Does the camp that got the research drop it, or do they find third parties that might know a guy and drop it?
Yeah.
So there's no, hey, I didn't get it from the campaign. Some guy told me.
Yeah, you use cutouts. I mean, or if you're a Democrat in Chicago, you just write the story, give it to Rick Pearson over at the Tribune, and he runs it.
I have to defend the Chicago Tribune.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. And it's about to get worse. The IRS just hired an army of new tax enforcers. So, if you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. Optima has access to a special IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands, even tens of thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop that army of new enforcers from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A-rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $500 million of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. Call now for your free consultation.
Call 800-711-5743. 800-711-5743. 800-711-5743. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
How would you like to have insurance for your computer network? Something to protect your hardware and software, and more importantly, give you peace of mind. Using Turnkey IT for installation and support of your system is like having insurance for your computer network. For one affordable monthly payment, your company gets a full team of certified technicians who are there for you, working in the background to ensure your systems are up and running. They'll help you over the phone and make house calls to your workplace. And Turnkey IT doesn't wait until there's an emergency call because they work hard to take preventative measures, keeping networks secure, backed up, and running nonstop. Turnkey IT can protect your network with the Turnkey experience where everything is included. Office 365 hosting, advanced network protection, cloud backup, disaster recovery, and unlimited remote and on-site support. Find out what Turnkey IT can do for your company today. It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro today. That's turnkey.pro.
Until now, every advisor on the radio seems to be talking about market risk and how to manage it. In retirement, an equally important risk is living too long in poor health. The costs of long-term care and health care in general are rising faster than inflation. At Gibbons Financial, we can help you craft a plan that allows you to maintain and preserve your assets. We work with insurance providers that will pay a death benefit if you never use your long-term care insurance, as well as pay you back up to 80% of your premium if you desire. Don't let a prolonged illness diminish your hard-earned retirement. Allow us to design a plan of care that fits your specific need. Planning on government-based Medicaid is not a plan. Protect your family and assets. Call me, Mike Gibbons, at Gibbons Financial Group today at 224-419-5550. That's 224-419-5550. Call today for your personalized long-term care assessment.
Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Guarantees are based on the claims-paying ability of the issuing company.
Hello, this is financial advisor Dale Bradley speaking to you from the Bradley Investment Center in Evanston.
Have you ever made an investment through one of those large national brokerage firms? Have you ever felt like just a number? Well, at Bradley Investment Center, our goal is not to be the largest practice. It's simply to be the best by establishing and keeping true personal relationships. Visit us at BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. That's BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. Or better yet, stop by and say hello. We are at the corner of Central and Central Park in beautiful Northwest Evanston. We strive to be the center of all your family's investment needs. For more information, call the Bradley Investment Center at 855-940-8700. That's 855-940-8700.
Bradley Investment Center. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. Bradley Investment Center is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services.
Worry less with Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty Mutual saved me almost $800 when I switched my home and auto insurance. Liberty did what? Yeah, I got the perfect coverage for us, and I didn't have to worry about skimping on Emma's party. Oh, well, that explains the...
Pony! Best birthday ever!
Visit us online to get a quote. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Based on a recent countrywide survey of new customers. Coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company.
When you're hiring for a growing business, you don't need lots of candidates. You need the right candidates. You need Indeed.com. With an algorithm that positions your job post where quality candidates are and screener questions that help you zero in on the best talent. Indeed.com, the site proven through an independent study to deliver 5 times more hires than any other. New users claim your $50 credit for a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Safety. It's so important at your industrial facility. You need to keep your personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. One problem with your ladders, platforms, or safety guards, and you could be facing costly fines. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a business owner, I realize the importance of keeping my employees safe, and I'm here to offer my expertise. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment, including walkways, handrails, stairways, and machinery guards. Our Vans Industrial team can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality goods, and install them with trained pros, all making a safer environment for your employees.
Call 219-931-4881 today for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and John Cass in for Amy this morning. And coming up at 7:37, we're going to talk to Jed Babman and ask him if Trump has drawn a new red line in Syria. And also, what of the accusation that Trump may be playing wag the dog with North Korea? That's all coming up after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Clouds, 72 degrees, very humid out there, 84%. Your humidity reading, winds are out of the northwest at 5. In the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Nissan of St. Charles is home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. A Russian lawyer who met with Donald Trump Jr. during his father's presidential campaign last year says she did not visit Trump Tower to provide any dirt on Hillary Clinton's campaign.
I never knew who else would be attending the meeting. All I knew that Mr. Donald Trump Jr. was willing to meet with me.
Natalia Veselnitskaya telling NBC News in an interview this morning she has no connection to the Russian government and was there to discuss adoption rules. Still not much information coming out of the Mississippi Delta. 16 were killed when a military plane crashed. A Marine Corps KC-130 spiraled down into a soybean field yesterday. Officials in Costa Rica report the arrest of a 22-year-old man suspected of threatening to attack Ariana Grande's concert there. Investigators say the threats were written in Arabic and aimed at the pop star's performance last Sunday. You may recall a suicide bomber struck a Grande concert in Manchester, England in May, killing 22. No one is in custody after a man was shot and killed inside of a paratransit van on Chicago's South Side. Police tell us the shooting happened early this morning near 83rd and Stony Island. The handing out in Chicago of free samples of tainted heroin may have resulted in the hospitalization of at least 8 due to overdoses. Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson says no deaths have been reported due to the adulterated heroin so far. A woman is being held as a person of interest. The Cook County soda tax remains on hold for the time being. A judge issuing a temporary restraining order last month preventing the penny per ounce tax from being levied. The ruling was upheld yesterday by an Illinois appellate court. If you dress like a cow today, you'll get free food at Chick-fil-A restaurants. It's the 13th year in a row the fast food chain has celebrated Cow Appreciation Day with a free meal for anyone who comes into the restaurant dressed like a cow. Cow-spotted accessories even count. Chick-fil-A.com has a full list of locations offering that fun promotion. Bulls signed free agent guard Justin Holiday, 2 years, $9 million. Closer Wade Davis represents the Cubs. Outfielder Avisail Garcia represents the White Sox at the All-Star game tonight. The news service of Accountemps. Do you need accounting and finance professionals for a long-term or reoccurring project? If you prefer the same pros to handle your project from start to finish, Accountemps Salary Professional Service is your solution. Learn more at accountemps.com. Accountemps, a Robert Half company. 7:33, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois. If your roof is needy, if your roof is leaky,
call Grumweedy.
If your roof isn't right after it's stormy and shingles are curly,
call Grumweedy.
If your roof is looking needy, call Crumweedy. This is Mark Olson of Crumweedy.
And I'm Greg Olson from Crumweedy. We are a third-generation family-run business. We've been doing Chicagoland roofs since 1953.
You really can't do that unless you do really amazing roofs. We share the same conservative values as you, and we really want to do your roof. Here's what you can expect.
First, no high pressure. You make the choice. Whatever option you choose, count on getting a roof that lasts at a fair price.
You see, application is really the key. We follow the manufacturer's specifications so your warranty is intact. You know, a lot of companies don't do that, and that could really void your warranty.
No horror stories here. The roof you need that will fix your problems.
When your roof is needy,
call Grumweedy.
For your needy roof, go to myroofisneedy.com. myroofisneedy.com.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
7:35. And an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the inbound Kennedy, traffic is slow from Foster to the Burn Circle. It's 33 minutes O'Hare to downtown. No savings in the Express. Outbound, it's 38 minutes to O'Hare. Eden's 22 minutes. Lake Cookman Junction, outbound 21. Eisenhower, 52 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. 35 from Manheim. Outbound 54 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 38 minutes. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound tri-state delays are from Southwest Highway most of the way to 31st Street and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial slow, Fountain to the Reagan Tollway, Butterfield to St. Charles, North Avenue to 290. Traffic is a service of Burger King Breakfast. Right now at participating Burger King restaurants, you can get 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. That's 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. It's breakfast on a light, flaky croissant, only at Burger King. Price and participation vary, restrictions apply. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. A very humid day setting up, more clouds than sun, high 85. Strong thunderstorms roll through the area later tonight. They could bring some flooding rains and damaging winds and a low of 72. 72 right now. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with the Chicago Tribune's John Cass joining Dan and us this morning here on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. HealthQuest Radio is heard Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock here on AM 560, The Answer.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning, Chicago Tribune columnist John Cass. Yes, that John Cass. And John, yesterday we spoke with Ambassador John Bolton about the Syrian ceasefire that was forged between President Trump and Russian autocrat Putin at the G20.
And Jordan.
The King of Jordan as well. And the question is that a positive development? You think that perhaps is counterintuitive, but Bolton was none too sanguine about both the duration of the ceasefire and whether this was a positive step in terms of American presence in the region fomenting stability as opposed to Russian presence in the region propping up a war criminal and fomenting continued instability. So let's see if we can get a second opinion that agrees with that. And on the topic is our friend Jed Babin, who, of course, is a Washington Times and American Spectator contributor, as well as a former Deputy Undersecretary of Defense during the George H.W. administration. And, Jed, thank you for joining us.
Great to be here, guys.
So in your piece in, where was it, the Washington Times, I believe, you talk about Trump drawing a new red line in Syria and distinguish that from the red line that Obama drew. What's the distinction?
Well, the distinction is that Trump, number one, has already enforced a red line against chemical weapons, the one that Obama drew and then didn't decide to enforce. But Trump now has an opportunity, really an obligation, to draw a second red line. If you look at what's going on in Syria, I mean, we're going to be withdrawing there soon. I mean, Raqqa is going to fall. The Kurds are going to withdraw. We're going to withdraw. At some point, we're going to be basically out of there. So there's not going to be any constraints on Assad using chemical weapons or the Russians doing what they do. And if you look at the geography, if you just look at Syria, you look to the north. Well, Turkey is not going to allow the Kurds to form an independent state, which is what they wanted since World War I. It's not going to happen. To the east is Iraq, and Iraq is already pretty much of a mess, although there's progress there against ISIS as well, albeit temporary.
In Mosul, right?
In Mosul. And, that's going to be something that's going to come and go. To the west, you have Lebanon and Israel. I mean, pretty much not Iraq, but Iran already owns Lebanon through Hezbollah. And the only real target they have now, if they want to start their hybrid warfare with little green men again, which is what they're going to do, the place they're going to go is Jordan, to the south. And Jordan is a very important ally of ours. They're pretty usually reliable. The king, Abdullah, is someone who is very much on our side. The problem they have, of course, is about a quarter of their population, or a fifth of their population, I should say, is so-called Palestinian refugees. They're registered by the UN as Palestinian refugees. They're not refugees at all. They're descendants of the refugees from 1948 who fled Israel at the time of Israel's independence. But those people are pretty well ripe for the sort of incitement that you see all the time in the Arab and Islamic world. And certainly ISIS and Iran and Russia and Syria are going to join in and try to get that going there. So what we need to do, Mr. Trump needs to do, is draw a second red line and say the red line is the border of Jordan. we're going to defend Jordan, and we're not going to let you pull that stuff off.
What about the Syrian ceasefire that was forged, and the importance of that?
Well, I think forged is the right word because nobody really believes in it, and it's not going to last very long. Again, the Syrian ceasefire is going to last only as long as our troops and our air power is present, are present. So you're not going to see that last very long. Again, we're going to withdraw once Raqqa is taken, once ISIS is fallen and supposedly kicked out of Syria. There's no reason for us to stay. So the temporary ceasefire is going to be very temporary.
So has a deal been cut between Russia and with Turkey to basically cut out the Kurds, which would leave them what? Antagonistic, or what? Where does that leave them, and what about Turkey-Russia relations in the context of the ceasefire now?
Well, we have to look at the treaty that Turkey and Russia and Iran signed. And note this, that Syria didn't even sign it. About a month and a half ago, the three nations, signed a treaty on protecting the Assad regime, on protecting the so-called sovereignty of Syria. So Turkey is going to use military power to the extent they need to kick the Kurds out of there once we withdraw. And there's no interest in Russia or Turkey or Iran in doing anything other than continuing expansion in that area.
Is there...
So Turkey... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but some of Rexon's controversial comments over the weekend in response to the meeting with Putin and Trump is kind of, Russia and the U.S. want the same things, and we're trying to figure out how to get there, that we're taken with... they're taken askance by some. Did you read anything into that where there perhaps is a play in the not-too-distant future to get Russian agreement to replace Assad and, replace him with somebody that would have the imprimatur of Iran, but replace Assad nonetheless?
No. I mean, you can't read it that way.
Okay.
You just simply can't. Well, what happened at the G20 is pretty much irrelevant and going to be so temporary as to be ephemeral. So the basic point here is Russia is going to continue what it's always done from the time of, 17th century Peter the Great. They want to expand. They're going to try to expand, and Iran is part of their vehicle. Turkey is part of their vehicle. And Assad is just a placeholder. They may at some time replace him, but we're not going to have someone there who's any less a terrorist leader than Assad if they decide to replace him.
So then
there's nothing in there.
So then did Putin get the upper hand on Trump from the meeting and that outcome?
Sounds like it.
Well, I think in part, yeah. I think President Trump is still, quite frankly, learning the job. Everything in on-the-job training is, I hope, sinking in. But Mr. Putin has been doing this all his life, and Mr. Trump hasn't. So I don't think that it's really a very big loss for us, but it's certainly not a win. And whatever came out of that G20 meeting is going to disappear by the time of the next G20 meeting, and probably sooner.
How about a lesser adversary, at least in terms of skill level, and that's Kim Jong-un and the North Korean dictatorship. What's your assessment of how Trump is handling the missile testing and the heightened security concern North Korea poses?
Well, I think so far so good, but I challenge your first statement. He's certainly not a lesser adversary, and I don't think there's any lesser of intelligence or learning there. I think that the biggest threat we face right now is North Korea. They have a missile which can be nuclear armed, which can now reach on a flatter trajectory than they fired on July 4th. It could reach Alaska. It might even be able to reach some other places. Certainly can reach Japan and South Korea. So this is a nuclear threat, and this is something that the president's going to have to deal with. The problem is we don't have much of a means to deal with it. Thanks to a couple of decades of neglect and failure to act, we're now in a situation where China and North Korea have us in this sort of strategic headlock, and we're going to try to break out of that. But you can't. The normal options of military action or essential, large-scale diplomatic action are neither open to us. Neither of them are. I mean, if we wanted to start a war there, we'd have to be absolutely insane. I mean, just the city of Seoul has about 10 million people, well, 20 million if you count the suburbs, and all of them are in range of North Korean artillery and rocket attack. And those people, most of them, or at least a large section of them, would probably die in the first day of the war.
Does China see this? Does China see this man, this chubby psychopath, as a stable partner over the years, or?
Yeah, well, and not just over the years. I mean, if you look at the missile and the way it was launched, you look at the features of that missile. Just for example, I'm aware of the fact that the nose cone in which a nuclear weapon could ride was either manufactured, it was not manufactured in North Korea. It was probably manufactured either in China or in Pakistan and sold to the North Koreans. We have evidence that the rocket engines on the first stage of the rocket are of Russian design. So you see these things, you see, the fact that mobile missile launchers, not for that particular missile, but for others the North Koreans have, were not made in North Korea either. The fact remains that China is probably looking at North Korea as a nation that's doing what it wants done. I don't think that there's really any enmity there, and, it may be at some point that the Chinese decide to replace Kim Jong-un with a more pliable puppet. But I don't think that they really have much of a problem with what he's doing right now. So relying on them to change Kim Jong-un's behavior is just foolhardy.
And that's certainly been shown to be true to this point. He is Jed Babin, former United States Deputy Undersecretary of Defense and a contributor to the Washington Times and the American Spectator. Jed, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Sorry about that, everyone. Weather. It's hot. It's July, and it might rain tonight. And tomorrow, get over it. Put your big boy pants on, realizes it rains, and it's hot. Thanks, Jim Telemonte.
Thank you, John, for simplifying that. Thanks. Good morning. Good morning down on Metra's BNSF line. We've got train movement stopped right now in the Aurora area. There's been a freight train derailment in that area, so trains aren't getting in or out of Aurora. There is an inbound train, an extra one, leaving from the area near 59. That's going to stop in Naperville and Express downtown, but otherwise expect some delays and nothing doing west of Aurora. Eden's 20 minutes, Lake Cook to the junction, outbound 29. The Kennedy, 45 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 40. And Bud Eisenhower, 56 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, and 38 from Manheim, outbound 46 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to the drive, outbound 40 minutes. The Rhine is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound, we're seeing delays now, 21 to 137. Northbound, Southwest Highway to the Hinsdale Oasis, Ogden to 31st. And from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue, Veterans Memorial slow Boughton most of the way up to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home, then you need to do what Amy did and call David Hochberg, Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. Billy, 27, construction worker, income $60,000 a year, score 664, wanted to purchase a home, so he called his father for advice. Billy's father told him to call David because he was the smartest lender he knew and the only lender he trusted. David answered Billy's questions and helped him secure an FHA loan. If you're interested in purchasing a home, you should work with the best, and the best in the mortgage business is Team Hochberg at Pearl Mortgage. David and his team will honestly answer your questions, secure you a mortgage which best fits your needs at the lowest rate and closing costs, up to $1,000 less than others. The first and only call you need to make when securing a mortgage is to David at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. David helped Amy and Billy and thousands of AM560 listeners, but he can't help you if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, An equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License C4358, NMLS 19186.
Deb, I'm so done with today. Traffic was awful. I couldn't stop for coffee. I have conference calls all morning, plus all these reports to go through. And look, it's 75 and sunny, and I'm stuck in here.
Relax. It's going to be an awesome day. Corporate is throwing a picnic in the parking lot for lunch, and they ordered Tasty Catering.
What? Did I miss the memo?
Apparently. It's going to be great. They got burgers, grilled chicken, sides, the works. You know, Tasty Catering's picnic food is excellent.
Oh, yeah, I know. We had them for our holiday party.
Today, they're bringing out the Make-Your-Own Burger Creation Station. They have everything you can think of, like sriracha, blue cheese crumbles, bacon, sautéed mushrooms, and caramelized onions. And they serve it straight off the grill, the way a great burger should be.
Okay, maybe there's still hope for today. I just hope I don't spill mustard on this new tie. Good thing I've got my bib.
You have a bib?
You don't?
Tasty Catering's picnic menu has all the delicious summertime food favorites you crave and more. Go to tastycatering.com to peruse mouth-watering picnic menus and start planning your picnic today. tastycatering.com.
All that extra weight is messing with your health, your sleep, your social life, even your love life. Time to take control. I'm Dr. Frank Marticello, and that's exactly what I did. I always worked out, worked hard, and no matter what I did, I couldn't lose that weight. I then saw a picture of myself, and that's what did it. I had to search for a solution. I found the ideal method. I lost 80 pounds, opened Total Life Weight Loss, and that was 9 years ago, and I've kept it off. Listen to this.
I hated being on meds needed only because I was overweight. I was tired of being tired and wearing black all the time. So I turned to Total Life Weight Loss. It was truly a life changer. Total Life Weight Loss gave me support and strategies to get rid of the weight and maintain my new current weight. I love the way I look and feel.
This is a medically developed protocol that helps you lose weight fast, get healthy, and keep it off for life. Call Total Life Weight Loss now at 708-695-5999 to book your free metabolic assessment or attend one of our free educational workshops. Again, that's 708-695-5999.
Have you seen the store shelves that are already putting out the back-to-school supplies? The school year may seem like a million years from now, but it's actually just around the corner. And maybe this summer you've been rethinking sending your kids to public school. Things are changing in our public schools, and not always for the better. Now might be the time to consider sending your child to a private school. You can do it for half the price of regular tuition thanks to halfpriceschools.com, where you can find tuition vouchers for private schools across Chicagoland, available at half of the normal price. There's no catch. It's simple. Find a private school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools located across Chicagoland, including schools in Chicago, Arlington Heights, Antioch, Palatine, Waukegan, Westchester, Bensonville, Kankakee, Romeoville, Mount Prospect, Aurora. So don't delay. School will be starting again in a matter of weeks. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. Many of these vouchers have already sold out, so don't wait. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
Here's the scoop on garden soil. Sometimes it needs help from the Home Depot, where bags of Miracle-Gro garden soil are a special buy, 3 for just $10. It improves existing soil with nutrients plants need for stronger roots, so they'll hit the ground running, starting with much better ground. Miracle-Gro garden soil, 3 bags, $10. Now at the #1 retailer for Scott's Miracle-Gro, the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through August 2nd while supplies last. Contiguous U.S. only. Limit 80 per customer.
We don't just carry our boxes to their destination. We carry your business. We carry your growth, your love of your products, and your service. When you hand your product over to us, we know how important it is to you, so we make it just as important to us. It's as if your entire store is right there in our hands. That's why at the United States Postal Service, we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone else in the country. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing, independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Bob Aument, a founding partner of the law firm of Dassman & Aument and longtime personal customer of Signature Bank. Our firm recently left one of the larger banks to bank with Signature Bank, and it's been a refreshing change. With Signature Bank, we've been able to tailor banking solutions that fit the specific needs of our firm. Beyond that, Signature Bank is responsive, efficient, and timely in meeting those needs. If I have a request, I pick up the phone and talk to Mick O'Rourke, not someone at a phone bank thousands of miles away. Dassman & Aument needed more than what the larger banks offer, and we found that with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and John, Western Michigan may be the Broncos, but they've got a goat problem. What they did at Western Michigan was a bit of an experimental program where they used goats to clear some of the underbrush, the stuff that's difficult to clear by humans, like poison ivy and other vegetation.
And they eat the new growth. They're very clean.
You don't want to use chemicals, so they use the goats like they do at O'Hare. Well, AFSCME got wind of this, and they filed a grievance saying the goats are stealing jobs from union workers. There they are. I'm not kidding.
You mean they're cheaper to employ than union workers?
AFSCME takes protecting the jobs of its members very seriously, and we have agreed upon collective bargaining agreement with Western Michigan. To paraphrase the late great Al Shanker, head of the IEA, or was it the the NEA, or was it the NFT? I think it was the NFT, National Federation of Teachers. Will start representing the interests of goats when they start paying dues.
You know what the advantage of using goats to clear brush? First of all, it's cheaper, less money on the taxpayers, and you can eat the brush clearers. They clear enough brush. You know,
yeah, that's a short term.
We get some Spitz, WIND, right? The news department. I know they love great recipes. We put them out there on coals, turn them slowly,
and then the kids
see the heads.
The kids come right in behind them and continue to steal the jobs that should be done by AFSCME workers. Don't you see?
Oh, you mean you're defending? You're against you're anti-goatish here. You're not goat. But they have cloven hooves, so there might be something there. And then there's the other thing, the Black Phillip references that you haven't yet made from the movie about the goat.
Yeah.
Called The Witch, in which Black Phillip takes over a family.
At 8:08, I defend the honor of the late, great Christopher Hewitt from John Cass's character assassination. But now it's time for Fox News.
It's heartbreaking. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump just tweeted about yesterday's fiery military plane crash in Mississippi. He and the First Lady offering condolences. 16 U.S. service members were killed. Fox's Eben Brown has more live.
Dave, 16 people were on board a Marine KC-130 when it crashed north of Jackson, Mississippi. It is believed no one survived. Witnesses watched it make a corkscrew-like dive out of the sky. KC-130s are large tanker aircraft. They perform in-flight refueling of other planes. This one was flying out of the Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point in North Carolina. Debris is being found as far as 5 miles away from the crash site, Dave.
Eben, President Trump's also tweeted big wins against ISIS, perhaps in reaction to numerous reports that ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. Right, Reuters cites the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Some reports say ISIS itself is saying this. Fox still working to confirm it all. A U.S. official tells us the intel community is still assessing, and there have been reports of al-Baghdadi's death in the past. Donald Trump Jr. has just tweeted that the media and Democrats are extremely invested in the Russia story And if his nonsense meeting is all they have, he understands the desperation. There's more about that meeting out now. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
Donald Trump Jr. was reportedly told in an email before meeting a Russian lawyer who he thought had material damaging to Hillary Clinton that it was part of a Russian government bid to aid his father's presidential campaign. The New York Times report of the email is likely to be of interest to congressional and federal investigators examining whether any of the president's associates colluded with the Russian government to sway last year's election. Trump Jr. hired a criminal lawyer on Monday who said in a statement that this is much ado about nothing. Dave?
And President Trump also tweeted today he's working hard to bring the Olympics to the U.S. As Los Angeles and Paris make presentations to the Olympic Committee today, the committee is considering giving the 2024 Games to L.A. or Paris and 2028 Olympics to the other city. Fox News, fair and balanced.
74 degrees, clouds and sunshine in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Here are the stories we're following on WIND Chicago this morning. No one is in custody after a man was shot and killed inside a paratransit van on Chicago's South Side. Police tell us the shooting happened early this morning near 83rd and Stony Island. The victim was talking to the van's driver at a gas station when the gunman approached and forced him into the vehicle. The suspect tried to take the man's cell phone before shooting him multiple times. The handing out in Chicago of free samples of tainted heroin may have resulted in the hospitalization of at least 8 due to overdoses. Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson says right now no deaths are being reported, and a woman is being held as a person of interest. CTA rail workers could be headed for a strike. Union representatives announcing that the Transit Employees Union voted to authorize that work stoppage if contract negotiations continue to drag on. Spokesman for the CTA says any strike would be illegal. Cook County soda tax will remain on hold for the time being. Judge issuing a temporary restraining order last month, preventing that penny per ounce tax from being levied. That ruling was upheld yesterday by an Illinois appellate court. Officials say no Asian carp have turned up in the Chicago waterways, where a recent discovery of an adult male carp triggered an intensive search. Federal and state agencies hired commercial crews to comb the area after a fisherman landed a silver carp on Chicago's south side in late June, about 9 miles from Lake Michigan. Bulls signed free agent guard Justin Holiday. Closer Wade Davis, outfielder Avisaíl Garcia represent Chicago baseball, Cubs, and White Sox at the All-Star game tonight. The news service of LifeLock. It's morning, and here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more threats to your identity than you can see if you're just monitoring your credit. And if something happens, a U.S.-based specialist can work to fix it. Go to LifeLock.com now. Use promo code RISK to save 10%. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat from the Fox Business Network, a service of Turnkey.pro. Here's Ginny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, home furnishings rental chain Rent-A-Center says it received a buyout bid from Vintage Capital. It rejected the bid. The parent company of Pepsi is reporting an upbeat quarter and says its year will be better than its previous prediction. PepsiCo also makes Frito-Lay snacks, Gatorade, and Aquafina water. It was able to boost prices in the spring quarter. Amazon.com is trying out its own version of Best Buy's Geek Squad. Fortune says the online company has been hiring experts to offer free consultations for Alexa. Amazon also plans to offer a service to set up electronics for you in your home for a fee. The Backyard Burgers chain has been sold to private equity firm Axum Capital Partners. Axum also owns Wild Wing Cafe. The Dow was down 5 points yesterday. NASDAQ up 23. S&P added 2. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Are you facing foreclosure, been foreclosed upon, in a bad modification, or just stuck in a bad mortgage? Well, we may be able to help you. My name is Lou Bridges. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lou Bridges & Associates. We've been helping distressed homeowners like you for over 8 years now. We defend foreclosure actions. We bring claims against the banks and the servicers for wrongful foreclosure and other violations of mortgage servicing regulations. And we help people negotiate modifications of their existing mortgages, often including principal reductions. Give us a call. We provide free consultations. I guarantee you it will not be a sales pitch. We will give you our honest analysis, counsel, and advice regarding your options.
Hi, this is Rayanne from Lou Bridges and Associates. I am one of the loan modification processors here, and if you are in need of any additional information in regard to a loan modification, please contact the office.
Go to bridgeslaw.net or call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231.
Remember, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you'll never be alone.
As a small business owner, you make every dollar count. So what could you do with $10? Go to Vistaprint.com today and you'll get 500 high-quality custom business cards for only $9.99. That's less than 2 cents per card. And at Vistaprint, your satisfaction is absolutely guaranteed. So it's never been easier to turn 500 strangers into connections. Just visit Vistaprint.com and use promo code 4242 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code 4242.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, can I still take advantage of today's low rates? Is it still a good time to refinance? The answer is yes. Now's a great time to call Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.12%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
8:07. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Very latest on your commute with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On Metra's BNSF line, train movement has resumed in and out of Aurora after there was a freight train derailment in that area. Are delays, though, on the BNSF line. Edens is 20 minutes from Lake Hook to the junction. Outbound 33. Kennedy, 44 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 28 from Montrose, 22 in the Express. Outbound 18 minutes to Montrose, 40 to O'Hare. Inbound Eisenhower, it's now an hour and 7 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. 47 minutes from Manheim, outbound 48 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. Ryan is 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Delays on the Tri-State are southbound 21 to 137. Northbound Southwest Highway most of the way to 31st. And from the Cermak Toll to North Avenue, Reagan Tollway heavy 83 to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial from Boughton most of the way to St. Charles and North Avenue to 290. Northwest Indiana's good. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Humid today with more clouds than sun, high 87. Tonight, mostly cloudy, warm and humid with a strong thunderstorm toward dawn, which could bring flash flooding and damaging winds, low 72. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
72, clouds and sun at O'Hare. Next news coming up 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with the Chicago Tribune's John Cass joining us this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Fly By Night with your host, comedian, and entertainer extraordinaire, Ken Severa. Saturdays at midnight on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
That's the thing about text, Dan.
Thing about what?
Thing about text. Somebody can tell you that I made a Black Phillip reference.
Well, I just got it. We were talking about unionization of goats because John Cass is here, and these are the topics we talk about.
Goats,
right? And you could organize them too into collective bargaining units, and that way, AFSCME wouldn't file grievances against goats for the jobs they're taking, clearing the underbrush up there in western Michigan, or perhaps at O'Hare Airport. I mean, that's a real shot across the bow of those goats at O'Hare. They better. They heard it. They better vote to unionize. You know, but But I just caught it in the break. You made a Black Phillip reference,
right?
Black Phillip from The Witch.
Yes, because he's a goat that takes over the family.
The Witch. If you haven't seen The Witch, if you like horror movies, and I mean, again, I love good horror movies and gore. I love all that.
This one wasn't as gory.
There's some of it though.
But this is psychological.
Oh no, this is really good. This is one of the best horror movies of the last decade. I would put that and The Conjuring, the first Conjuring, as
or Conjuring 2. Is some
as the two best psychological most well done horror movies of the last decade. The Witch is really good.
I wouldn't put the Oculus in there.
I'm surprised you saw
The Witch.
I would think it would
anything
give you nightmares.
Anything that involves Puritans, repressed sexuality,
And
government, and goats. I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, that's a perfect segue, since you're so culturally literate, to this characterization that you have made of the late, great Christopher Hewitt, which I take great umbrage at. And we've got to hash it out right here.
Do it. Bring it.
Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah.
You're linking him to the gentleman I call Spalding. He's running for governor of Illinois, and he'll have a hot dog, no a hamburger, French fries, no onion rings, and he's going to get nothing and like it, J.B. Pritzker.
J.B. Pritzker, Kennedy, Dan, whoever it is, who's a Democrat. If a Democrat becomes governor, they will be the butler for Michael Madigan. And what they're going to stand there with the silver tray, and he'll feed him apples, little slices, and Michael will not speak, and neither will the Mr. Belvedere governor.
All right.
And it'll be a silent room with just Mike crunching his apples.
I mean, if I can pull rank here as somebody who employs a butler, if I can just pull rank.
Yeah.
Mr. Belvedere.
That's so right.
Mr. Belvedere.
Nah.
Mr. Belvedere held that family together. Bob Euchre was the clown. Mr. Belvedere was the refined service professional.
What are you, like, being dogmatic about your Mr. Belvedere references?
Well, it's a
Are you the bishop of Mr. Belvedere?
It is a misinterpretation of the great Mr. Belvedere sitcom, and I just won't have it.
Mr. Belvedere works. You're just upset because whatever your Simpsons reference is not as good.
Caddyshack?
Or
Simpsons?
What?
Spalding?
Spalding. Okay, Caddyshack. It's not as good as Mr. Belvedere. Mr. Belvedere works for the Democrats. You don't like it? Jump on board. Embrace the change, Dan.
Mr. Belvedere is a cultural leader, a man of dignity and grace.
You know what I'm
Spalding is a spoiled little rich brat.
Here's one thing you got to know.
Who needs to be slapped around. So you tell me which is a better description
I don't like to slap
of J.B.
anybody.
Pritzker.
I
meant rhetorically,
I want the
of course.
listeners to know, not you, Dan, because I tried to tell you. Mr. Belvedere was originally Clifton Webb, the prissy Clifton Webb.
That's getting closer.
And I just think that's another possibility, depending.
Right, but you tweeted out a picture of Christopher Hewitt with your Mr. Belvedere.
Because I thought it
Let
was
the record reflect.
Yeah. No, who knows who Clifton Webb is? Not many who are alive.
Hey, you make arcane references for your own enjoyment, not because
Yes.
everybody gets them. Maybe you teach
Don't
somebody
you?
something. That's what I do. Yeah, I don't do.
But this was,
Of course.
J.B. Pritzker is the front runner. He looks like Mr. Belvedere. Call him Mr. Belvedere. End the story. Don't make it too complicated.
What are you going to say
When
next?
are you going to learn about messaging, sir?
Are you going to say?
You know anything
Are you going to
about
say Daniel Biss? I
Is
must
the
be
Clifton
in the
Webb?
No,
No.
Daniel Biss must be in the front row. I mean, is he the Bob Euchre character? Come on, fill out the rest of the family then.
It's real simple. Keep your politics simple. Mr. Belvedere, waiter, servant to Mike Madigan. That's
Yeah.
all you got to think
I
about.
get it. I get it. All right, but here's the question: are you still planning on moving to Rensselaer, Indiana, live under the windmills, or now that there seems to be a pivot from the incumbent governor, Bruce Rauner, do you have a renewed sense of optimism that this is not all for naught and Illinois shouldn't be dissolved?
Do we stay or do we go was the title of a column the other day. And now I see, no one even told me this at the Tribune. They're running letters saying, I guess John Cass can leave, but we're staying. You know what?
Well, yeah, that's all the people that benefit from the system writing those letters.
No, there are many who want me to go.
Oh, of course.
You know, they're like the ones who don't like goats cleaning clearings in Western Michigan. They want me to go.
My Laura Fine's husband, Laura Fine, that's the Dem State rep from Wilmette. She and he want you to go too.
Now, what is that story? Because I saw it tweeted.
He was tweeting. If you don't,
The
get out of here. Get out of here then. I mean, this is the great thing about it is you understand when we talk about the exodus, and we spend a lot of time talking about it, but it's not to shame the politicians. They are not shameable. They want you to leave. Do you understand? The more people who have left Illinois, those are the people that can do simple math and
I mean the ones who don't know.
And frankly, have a center-right perspective. So here's the counterintuitive nature of the exodus, right? The more people like John Cass leave, the better it gets for the people in power.
Because the more people that know how to do math and realize that it's a 32% increase, not a 1%.
1.2%.
1.2%, whatever the Democrats were trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I haven't made up my mind. I'm going to probably write a column later this week about it. I have not made up my mind. The tiny house under the windmills, if I can only see Dan Proft coming up to me, riding up on a donkey with maybe a good cask of Amontillado under his arm.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
As long as
Sancho.
As long as it's a Union donkey. I'll see that card.
Yeah.
Sean in Elmwood Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
First of all, boys, let's get everything straight. I am the nickname giver. So J.B. Pritzker will be referred to as Lou Costello. Kennedy will be called...
He's not funny. He's not funny.
Not funny.
Browner
Who's on
will be
first?
Lurch.
Who's on first?
Okay? And you two are Pee Wee Herman and Banana Hands. Now, here's the other thing.
You did the hand reference the other day.
What is
getting
social engineering? What is social
needs
justice?
new writers.
Remember that, Cass? I was on my way to the health club. You were asking about social justice. The key component that we must always remember is it's what every government plan is. It's about restraint. It's about seizing of other people's assets and property and liberty in the name of a collective.
What's
So let's
next?
stay
Are you going to
focused
tell
on
me the power to tax is the power to kill, the power to destroy?
He likes to string together cliches.
Come on.
You know all of these.
He's
Justice
got the
Marshall.
He has
Here's
the
the other
Frederick
thing.
Bastiat quote of the day calendar.
Here's the other thing, you with the whale on your shirt.
Leave my hands alone, Sean.
Let's not pretend that all of a sudden Lurch Rauner is a conservative because he hired some girl to be his chief of staff.
Whoa.
If you really want to save the people of Illinois, you will primary him and do the right thing.
All right, John Cass.
I asked Dan.
No, he's talking about you. You primary.
I asked Dan if he was going to primary him the other day when I was on. He said no.
No.
And I'm not primarying him because...
I don't care what he says. Please. And as far as real estate, Cass, you buy real estate from me in Marco Island. You head yourself. We'll have a Greek restaurant. You could do your rubbing of all the lamb that you like to do, and everybody will be great. And if Pee Wee Herman doesn't primary him, we'll put him in South Beach on the other side in Miami where he could put the feather duster in his song the way he likes to on the weekend.
Thank you for the call, Sean, and for disclosing what I like to do on the weekends. Mark in Des Plaines.
Are you guys really telling us that Pritzker's going to win this thing?
Why not?
Are you conceding defeat at this point?
I'm not on any side.
I'm not.
I'm a journalist. I'm an independent journalist without any party affiliation.
I mean,
Jim Thompson. Hold on. Jim Thompson, Jim Edgar, and his little servants, Bill Cellini and Bob Shalander, cured me of republicanism in Illinois. Yes, Mark. What were you asking? Sorry.
So here's the thing. This is just all of the elites trying to hold on to power, and don't you think we can convince enough people that that's what's happening? I mean, this is the epitome of an elite trying to hold on to their power and basically just grind the faces of the people into the concrete. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mark. You know who needs to make that argument? Bruce Rauner. And if he doesn't, he's not going to win. Thanks for the call, Mark. That's the point. I don't disagree with Mark's synopsis of where Illinois is, but Bruce Rauner has to make the case. Nobody can make it for him.
This change with the
chief of staff.
Chief of staff is one aspect, but I see right away that my friend and but liberal Mark Brown from the Sun-Times is beating the heck out of her and basically calling Rauner a right-winger.
Yeah, right, of course.
Right-winger.
Well, that's all they have. They can't defend what Chicago Democrats have done to the city they've controlled for 100 years or the state they've controlled for 40. So Mark Brown has to, do the right-wing extremist Madigan talking point. It's pathetic. And Mark is a nice guy, but he's a pathetic op-ed writer. He's a
good op-ed writer.
No,
he's
not.
Hit this one.
No, he's not. I mean, it's just
sometimes we
it's
hit
just
singles.
talking points. It's just talking points. It's just left-wing Oak Park talking points because that's all they have. There's nothing on the substance. So
the next move for Rauner is what I see Anderson, State Rep Anderson,
he's bounced from leadership.
Quisling of Republican gone. I don't see Harris.
Well,
buddy.
He's gone from leadership. He was deposed as part of the House Republican leadership team. That's the least.
Where's the rest
that
of the 15?
Right.
There's 14 others, and don't give me this. I voted against the override. There's 14 others who enabled Madigan and protected Madigan Democrats in the suburbs like the illustrious Nussman and Carol Sente and all these people, right?
And I suspect that every one of those individuals will either retire voluntarily or there will be an attempt to retire them forcibly.
And if they are still on, do any of the other 14 have leadership roles?
No.
What about Harris?
I mean, they have committee assignments. I mean, you could potentially...
David Harris, right?
Yeah, David Harris from Arlington Heights.
You know the story about him? David Harris awoke after a night of uneasy dreams to find that he had been transformed into a gigantic insect.
Okay,
no, I did not write.
Okay, Kafka.
Very good.
All
good
right.
catch.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I do think, to the point that you raised, that there are more moves coming. Obviously, being chief of staff is not a one-woman job. Being governor is not a one-man job. And I think both recognize that. And I think the pivot will necessarily include more personnel changes as well as attitudinal changes as well as messaging changes.
That's a lot to ask of Rauner, who should have gone to war the first 6 months in office.
I don't disagree, and picked the right war to go to, by the way, too. He picked the wrong one. But here's the thing. I think there's a recognition that his survival is on the line, and so he can choose to act in furtherance of self-preservation or not, and we'll know by Labor Day.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Today, John Cass Day. Humid with more clouds and sun, high of 85. A strong thunderstorm late. Storms can bring flooding. Low of 72. And tomorrow, a severe afternoon thunderstorm because it's July and it's hot. And figure out the weather is like this. Jim Telemonte, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. You're welcome, John. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. The inbound Edens is light. Just a 1-minute delay. Foster to the junction. Outbound, it's slow. Scattered delays out to Willow, 33 minutes from Montrose to Lake Cook. Kennedy, 49 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, a little quicker than the Express. Outbound, 37 minutes. The Eisenhower, an hour and 7 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, 47 minutes from Manheim. Outbound, it's 48 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 6 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, 42 minutes. The Ryan is 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive, the delays are southbound, Irving Park to North Avenue and 18th to the Stevenson. Southbound Tri-State, heavy 21 to 137. Northbound Southwest Highway, most of the way to 31st. And from the Cermak Toll Plaza to North Avenue. Adams Tollway now slow lead to the Tri-State. Reagan Tollway from the Aurora Toll to Wiola and 83 to the Tri-State. The Veterans Memorial, Butterfield, check that, from Boughton, most of the way up to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
For 5 years, I was with this other company, and I tried everything, and it was costing me a fortune. And on top of that, it wasn't working. And I said, ever since I've taken this product, I have kissed that goodbye. Matter of fact, I said, this has been the first winter that I have gone through without a flu or nothing.
Last year, I started on the Balance of Nature. I'm telling you, it really built me up, and it really helped me.
My cholesterol went down. Only after taking it 1 month, I went down 20 points.
I feel better already with it.
I just feel it's made my life more predictable, more useful.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Hi, this is Jeff from Basement Flood Protector. We have the pleasure of protecting over 25,000 of your homes with our innovative and proven line of protection solutions. Our customers enjoy peace of mind knowing their homes are safe regardless of weather conditions. They enjoy peace of mind knowing our solutions provide the early warning mechanisms required to fend off problems in advance. And they enjoy peace of mind knowing when called upon, our solutions will come to the forefront and operate as expected. Have you ever received an email or phone call from your sump pump warning you of an error or potential problem? Our customers have. Like us, our customers believe technology does not have to end at the top of the basement stairs, and they rely on our technology to protect their personal belongings that they care so deeply about. We are Basement Flood Protector. Protecting homes from flooding is all we do. I invite you to call today at 800-238-0822 or visit don'tflood.com to learn more and for no-nonsense pricing. That's 800-238-0822 or don'tflood.com. Use the call letters of this station for a 5% discount.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dave Geiselhart, president and owner of Home Trust Mortgage and customer of Signature Bank. When the large banks turned away from the mortgage lending industry during the financial crisis, I turned to locally owned Signature Bank. Signature Bank stepped in and helped me expand our business at a time when the larger banks wouldn't. Today, I'm proud to say Home Trust Mortgage has been able to expand our business in Illinois and the Great Lakes region. We couldn't have done that without the help of Signature Bank. Signature Bank truly helps Chicago businesses like mine grow and thrive. That's why we also became personal customers and shareholders of Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
My legs were awful.
I always felt uncomfortable and self-conscious.
I had never been real happy about the spider veins in my ankles and my legs.
I started noticing fatigue in my leg.
I was so self-conscious. Then I went to Vein Clinics of America.
It's time to love your legs again. Vein Clinics of America is the oldest, largest, most experienced vein treatment center in the U.S. Using state-of-the-art laser and minimally invasive treatments, they can begin restoring the natural beauty of your legs in as little as 1 hour with no downtime, and most treatments are covered by insurance.
I found the Vein Clinics of America, and look at my legs now.
You just feel like, you know what, I want to do so much today. It's such a big difference.
My experience with Vein Clinics of America was amazing.
Make sure your legs look and feel their best for summer. Call now to schedule a free fast-track consultation to find out how you can finally get rid of those embarrassing varicose and spider veins. Call 800-402-0707. 800-402-0707. That's 800-402-0707.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. The storm season is here. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for sudden damage and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and John Cass in for Amy this morning, and Ann B. Davis's bowling ball texts in with a good question for you, Cass, since you're comparing J.B. Pritzker to Mr. Belvedere. Why not Benson Dubois from the great Benson series, Robert Guillaume? And, of course, let me help you, because you weren't a child of the 80s like I was.
I was working. It was called The Job.
Yeah.
Working, married, trying to get married, keep my job.
Lame excuse.
24/7 working then as a reporter trying to get to the big time.
So Benson wasn't the butler, though. He was the aide who covered for the hapless Governor Gatling. right? And so that doesn't quite fit Ann B. Davis's bowling ball. But thank you for the Benson reference. That was a great show.
Anything to save you from your man crush on Mr. Belvedere when it's perfect to apply to the Democrats running for governor.
I recognize
You're trying to ruin my thing.
A refined English gentleman when I see one, and I make no apologies for it. Coming up, another refined gentleman, Andrew Klavan, Hollywood screenwriter and author of The Great Good Thing, joins us to talk a little bit about conservatism and culture. That's at 8:38. But now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
74 degrees and clouds and sun in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Authorities are just beginning the investigation into a tragic military plane crash in the Mississippi Delta that killed at least 16. It was a Marine Corps KC-130 tanker that went down. Federal agents and local law enforcement investigating an explosion at an Air Force recruiting center in Oklahoma. It happened around 10:30 last night at the recruiting center in Bixby. Colorado Parks and Wildlife this morning tell us they believe the bear that attacked a sleeping teen at a Christian camp in Boulder County, Colorado, is dead. The department spokesperson says the animal was captured on Glacier View Ranch property and put down yesterday. They're not sure why the bear attacked the 19-year-old staff member. He was dragged almost 14 feet by his head by the bear before being saved by other staffers. There are 2 new studies this morning, 2 that suggest that drinking coffee is great for you in the morning. Researchers in the U.S. and Europe report the more people drank coffee, the less likely they were to die from heart disease, diabetes, or cancer. Men seem to get more of a positive effect from coffee than women, though both showed a reduced risk of early death. Other stories we're following this morning. No one is in custody after a man was shot and killed inside a paratransit van on Chicago's South Side near 83rd and Stony Island. The handing out of free samples of tainted heroin may have resulted in the hospitalization of at least 8 due to overdoses. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson say they're holding a woman as a person of interest in that case. Chicago sports. Bulls signed free agent guard Justin Holiday to a 2-year deal. All-Star game in Miami tonight. Representing the Cubs, closer Wade Davis, and for the White Sox, Avisail Garcia will represent the team. The news, a service of Dove Men Plus Care. Did you hear that 91% of guys that use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommend it? Dove Men Plus Care users say that their armpits aren't the worst thing at the gym anymore, so make the locker room a better place and pick up some new Dove Men Plus Care for your gym bag at your local retailer. 8:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says work is getting done in Washington, despite what you see from the mainstream media.
An awful lot continues to get done in this Trump White House, day in and day out. Bills are being signed. Legislation is being tackled. Yes, healthcare is going to be tricky. It's going to be tough. But if anybody can do it, it's this guy. You know it, and I know.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Home isn't just a place, it's the feeling of knowing you're safe. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Learn more at ADT.com.
Yes, indeed, summertime. Another hot one. Wait, gonna be a little bit cooler today. Back to hot, gonna be windy. Maybe a thunderstorm mixed in for good measure. Up and down and up and down. The climate is always changing. Your company's heating and cooling system really gets a workout in Chicagoland. Be ready for anything this summer. Call Air Comfort and get your business's cooling system tuned up and running at peak performance. You see, the Air Comfort problem solvers can find small problems before they become big problems. Plus, proper maintenance will keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your chiller is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key to keep your climate from changing is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
8:35 and a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. On the inbound Edens, traffic remains sluggish between Elston and Montrose. It's 20 minutes like Cook Junction, outbound 34. Kennedy, inbound delays start at Montrose. 49 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 39 from Montrose, 36 in the Express. Outbound, 15 minutes to Montrose, 32 to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower. An hour and 2 minutes Thorndale to the post office. 42 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 42 to Thorndale. Inbound Stevenson, an hour and 6 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, it's 42 minutes. Ryan, 28 minutes. 95th to downtown. Southbound Tri-State slow Eau Plaine to Bradley. And very slow Sanders to Dundee after a crash. Northbound, heavy from the 83rd Street toll to the Hinsdale Oasis. Ogden to 31st. And from the Cermak toll to North Avenue. Adams Tollway stop and go lead to the Tri-State. Reagan Tollway, the Aurora Toll to Wheeler and 83 to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial delays are from Boughton to the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Humid day ahead, more clouds than sun. Will top out at 85. Strong thunderstorms expected into the overnight with a low of 72. Currently 73 at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. With the Chicago Tribune's John Cass joining Dan this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Wine Time Radio. Every Saturday at 5 p.m. on AM 560. Explore the wonderful world of wine with host James Crooker and Rob Lehner.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and John Cass, Chicago Tribune columnist extraordinaire, in for Amy this morning. And John, we have an instant classic from the Amish Texter about that story. Mike Scott reported about the Christian camper and the bear. The Amish Texter, that bear that dragged the Christian camper 14 feet. No, 14 yards. The bear that dragged the Christian... I'm ruining it. The bear that dragged the Christian camper 14 yards was the most yards gained by a bear in the past 3 seasons. Zing. Rim shot.
Leave my head alone.
It's pretty good.
Quit crunching my head.
All right, I saved this piece for your return, John Cass, as a cultural maven. This is the David Gelettner piece from the Wall Street Journal last week that many in conservative circles were... bouncing about. And he writes, among other things, many intellectuals think Mr. Trump is vulgar. That includes conservatives.
Me too.
They think he's a peasant and talks like one. It never dawns on them that the president can't stand them any more than they can stand him. Yet they expect him to treat them with respectful courtesy if he ever runs into them, as he should, and on the whole does. Conceivably, they should treat him the same way. He goes on. Conservatives regret the collapse of authority, dignity, and a certain due formality in the way Americans treat each other, but it's not clear that commentators make things any better when they treat the president himself like a third-rate clown. Conservative thinkers should recall they helped create President Trump. They never blasted President Obama as he deserved. Mr. Obama's policies punished the economy and made the country and its international standing worse year by year. His patronizing arrogance drove people crazy. He was the perfect embodiment of a one-term president. The Tea Party outbreak of 09-10 made it clear where he was headed. History will record that the press saved him. Naturally, the mainstream press loved him, but too many conservative commentators never felt equal to taking him on. I think that's true, and don't forget, that was from the outset when George Will and Charles Krauthammer, the sainted Will and Krauthammer, when they had dinner, broke bread with Obama in 2008.
To explain to him how things work. And that was at the time when the National Review, when they were still mocking Buckley. Buckley was rolling in his grave. I think he was already passed, I hope.
Yes.
But they were starting to mock Buckley. And basically it was like, let's play a game. Let's pretend to be conservatives. Let's not really challenge. Let's just be the guardians at the right gate. And then the Washington Post could be the guardians of the left gate, but the gate to the establishment.
Well, and Will and Krauthammer both signaled that Barack Obama was a new kind of Democrat, a different kind of Democrat. And it gave, speaking of William F. Buckley, Christopher Buckley cover to endorse and openly support President Obama against McCain in 2008. Gelettner goes on in his piece. Some conservatives have the impression that by showing off their anti-Trump hostility, they'll get the networks and the New York Times to like them. It doesn't work like that. Although the right reads the left rarely reads the right.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I think he's onto something. Why should it when the left owns American culture? Nearly every university, newspaper, TV network, Hollywood studio, publisher, education school, museum in the nation. The left wrapped up the culture war 2 generations ago. Throughout my own adult lifetime, the right has never made one significant move against the liberal culture machine. Let me repeat that statement. Throughout my adult life, the right has never made one significant move against the liberal culture machine. So go ahead, proclaim it from the rooftops. The anti-Trump opposition is a virtual French resistance. If we're not going to fight anyway, let's surrender and get it over with.
Was he born before or after President Reagan took office?
No, he's Gretler's, I think, in his 50s.
All right, so he doesn't consider that to be a victory?
Cultural.
Yes.
Was there a cult? I mean, there was a bit of a cultural renaissance, but in terms of where we are in the course of it, let's say the last 50 years, whatever gains we made in Reagan, have they been?
You go back.
Have they been lost?
Find the time machine. Go back in time. Find Rousseau and strangle him in his crib.
Well,
okay.
Okay. Well, okay.
But you can't do that.
Yeah. All right. Back to the Future. For more on this topic, no one better situated to opine on this and address this with us than our friend Andrew Klavan, a famed writer in his own right. He is a Hollywood screenwriter who wrote, the novel True Crime, as well as the adaptation for the Clint Eastwood movie. He's also the author of an excellent book, his latest, The Great Good Thing, A Secular Jew Comes to Faith in Christ. Andrew, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's nice to be here. Thanks a lot.
So what about the Glettner piece and the argument that he makes?
Well, I agree with 2/3 of the Glettner piece, but let me start with the part I thoroughly disagree with,
okay,
which is that the right failed to attack Obama. You're right that Krauthammer and Will gave Obama a chance when he first came in. Obama fooled a lot of people with his centrist talk, including my friend David Horowitz, who thought he was just going to be another Clinton Democrat when he came in. Once the right sniffed out who this guy was, we went at him hammer and tongs, and Krauthammer leading the pack. Krauthammer used to just rip him every night on the Bret Baier show. You know, not only did the right fight against Obama, but was pretty successful when you consider that during Obama's 8 years in office, the Democrats lost something like 1,000 seats in governments across the country. So that's the part I think was wrong. It is not the right has made mistakes, but really it was the Republican Party who threw a lame duck like John McCain out there, and Mitt Romney, who is a good man, but who authored a health care bill so much like the health care bill that was the big issue that year that he was doomed to failure. I think the Republican Party failed to unseat Obama, not the intellectual right, which fought him very hard.
But I mean, just to develop this a little bit more, I think Glettner's point is not necessarily about opposing Obamacare, opposing tax increases, his feckless leading from behind foreign policy. That's all true. American culture. Did we make any progress in American culture? And even with those bad candidates, and those losses suffered under Obama by the rest of the Democrat Party, and what's left of it now a super minority party. But where has culture moved in that time? It hasn't moved right.
This is the part where he's absolutely right. I mean, this is the thing that I feel like a kind of Cassandra, because I've been yelling and screaming about this for 10, 15 years. It is very hard to get conservatives to pay attention to the culture as anything but a means of propaganda. They don't understand that to make art, you have to make art first, and include the ideas as just part of that art, not as the whole point of it. And they don't understand what the arts do. They don't understand how the culture works. They're waking up a little bit. This is changing. A new generation of conservatives, when you go on colleges, it's the conservatives who are funny. When you go online, on Twitter, it's the conservatives who are hilarious, who understand how to use social media. A new generation is coming up, so I actually have some hope for the first time in a long time. But really, for 50 or 60 years, the left has seized Hollywood, academia, and the news media, and has used those things to spread a point of view which essentially says to people, there is leftism and there's hate. There is Black Lives Matter and there's racism. There is radical feminism and there's anti-female, an anti-female attitude. They have spread this idea that every idea but theirs is somehow radically hateful, racist, sexist, the whole lot. And we've let them do that.
How so, though? How so, Andrew? By by allowing them to shame young people.
Yep.
At the same time, we're not providing alternatives that you suggested. Art that can offer them.
Not only by allowing them to shame young people, but by showing the cool folks, the celebrities, the guys who get all the girls and get all the money, by showing them to be a part of this system, by even rephrasing the language so it condemns things. So, for instance, the fact that men like to look at women becomes sexual objectification. You're objectifying a woman if you like to look at a woman, which is what makes the world go round. The fact that they will say, racial profiling to describe ordinary police work, this stuff that the police have to do in order to keep us safe, and they call it racial profiling. They've even infected the language that we use and the language all reporters now use to define the actions that we take in the world. And I think that we haven't been shrewd enough, and we haven't been, incisive enough to catch them at this at every step.
And we haven't been courageous enough.
I think we just maybe that's true. I don't know, but I do think we haven't been smart enough to stand up to them everywhere, to say we're not going to use the phrase racial profiling. It's a lying phrase. We're not going to say sexual objectification. We're not going to call a man who dresses up as a woman. We're not going to call him she, because he's not a she. He's not a woman. And these little things infect the language. When this is what the Soviets tried to do. When you only allow certain words, you're essentially only allowing certain thoughts.
Yeah.
And this idea that when people ask, is this feminist? They never ask, is feminism good? Maybe feminism is bad. I mean, certainly we all agree that women should have equal rights to men. They do have equal rights to men. There's no right that a man has in America that a woman doesn't have. But when you say feminism as if that was a positive thing, we should challenge that everywhere. I think feminism is a poisonous, toxic idea that has turned men and women miserable and turned them against each other in ways that are completely unnecessary.
Well, right. I mean, it was Emerson who said, first the language is corrupted and then man is corrupted, and that's where we're at. I point you to some research we talked about earlier in the show that's just out from Pew that finds I find this statistic jarring. I don't know about you, Andrew. You're an educated man. 58% of Republicans or independents who lean Republican see colleges and universities as a negative in America today. I think that is a jarring number, and it's not being a Luddite. It's not being anti-intellectual. It's a comment on the culture on campuses, clearly. And so what should be done about that other than what they're doing at University of Missouri, which is leaving?
Leaving, right. And it's not, you're absolutely right. It is not anti-intellectual because there's nothing intellectual about what used to be called the liberal arts. Now it's simply leftist propaganda. Last week, President Trump got up and he made a speech about defending Western civilization. And the left said, Western civilization, that's a code word for racism. Meanwhile, leftist activist Muslim Linda Sarster got up and called for jihad against Donald Trump. And the left said, jihad, that's just a phrase meaning spiritual struggle. That kind of knuckleheadness, you can only get that from an education. If Western civilization is racism, but jihad is intellectual struggle. That's what kids are being taught, and I've seen them. Basically, in colleges, our children are being stripped of their inheritance, which is the inheritance of Western culture, the culture that made them free, that made them able to think and speak as they wish. They're being taught not Plato, not Shakespeare, not Thomas Jefferson. They're being taught what their professors think of Plato, Shakespeare, and Thomas Jefferson, which is always skewed to the left toward this kind of critical theory that destroys everything the West stands for without replacing it with anything except the slavery of socialism. And yes, these kids come out more ignorant than when they went in, if that were possible.
Why is art, you mentioned earlier in our discussion that conservatives treat art as if, or the right treats art as if it's propaganda. Where is the great conservative, if there is such a thing, art in our culture now? And where is it? Is it dormant? Is it out there? We're not finding it? I'm not just talking about painting or visual medium, but I mean, cinema, for example, music, literature. Where do you see it?
it tends to come out in costume drama. For instance, if you look at the Dark Knight trilogy by Christopher Nolan, very, very conservative work of art. But if you took the mask off Batman and you realized that he was George W. Bush, no one would go to the movie. They'd have ripped it apart. You see movies like Toy Story 3, which actually, though a cartoon, I thought was one of the best movies of the last 20 years. A deeply conservative attack on the nanny state.
Incredibles.
But what the left is so good at doing is rewriting history. And they will make a story about Valerie Plame as if she were some kind of hero. Of course, the greatest example of this is this idea that John F. Kennedy was killed by some kind of right-wing conspiracy when he was an anti-communist shot by a communist. That whole thing, that's 50 years of meddling with the culture with a conspiracy theory that makes absolutely no sense and is based on a series of unfactual errors, This is what they're very good at. They're good at openly rewriting history. And yet it never occurs to us to make stories that are openly conservative in the sense that they say, I thought American Sniper was the great work of conservative art in the last few years, Clint Eastwood's film. Wonderful movie, really a great movie. It wasn't jingoistic. It didn't say America was perfect. It didn't say war was good. It said that, these are the bad guys. We have to kill them. And when the sniper, at the end of it says, I'm ready to go before God and answer for every time I pulled the trigger, that's the way America should feel about its operations in the Middle East. And I think that these things do exist. And what the right has failed to do, it has failed to build the infrastructure that artists need. Artists work for love. I mean, I know this. I've been a novelist most of my life. They work for money, sure, like all of us, but they also work for love. There's no award given by conservatives to artists. There's no review venue where an artist can go and get a good review that will reach the people. The people who control the culture in New York Times, which is barely even a newspaper anymore.
Right.
It's really just a sophomoric leftist rag, and their reviews count, for instance, in theater, in dance, and all those kind of things that upper-class New Yorkers like. We haven't built an infrastructure to support the arts. There are no grants for conservative
Or they've
art.
the left has hijacked the foundations.
Exactly.
Right? And then they've used that for their propaganda. I'd suggest if they remake a movie like Harrison Bergeron or something like that, where you have people with talent who are weighed down, like the great dancer has to wear a weight around her ankles and so forth. Something like this, you have to have something that, I agree with you, that's not overtly like didactic, but something that...
Or The Fountainhead. Remake The Fountainhead. No, it's,
but they did.
You could play Gary Cooper's role as Howard Rourke.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
Well, I think it was ESPN who called on Tom Brady. I mean, this is part of the culture, too. Our sport called on Tom Brady to explain himself, explain his friendship to Donald Trump. They really are running this kind of ad hoc Soviet show trial for anyone who disagrees. And any artist, I can tell you this, I've worked in Hollywood. We saw it with... I forgot her name now, one of the Australian actress, but Nicole Kidman, she came up and said, no matter what we think, all of us should support the president. That's what she said. She didn't say we had to agree with him. She just said we should all get behind the president after Trump was elected. She had to apologize. Everybody in Hollywood knows that their job is on the line. If they're caught out being a Trump supporter, everyone knows that they can say anything they want about Donald Trump without really suffering. Maybe holding up an image of his bloodied head will get you fired from CNN, maybe. But really, if you are accepting an award, if you're accepting an Oscar, you can stand up and say anything you want about middle America and not suffer, even though you're insulting half the audience base. That's how far more dedicated they are to their belief system than to even profits. Everybody says Hollywood is all about money. It's untrue. Hollywood is about ideology. They're going to make their money no matter what, because they can make it overseas. They can make it in a million different ways. But if you stand up at the Oscars and say, you know what, Trump's doing a pretty good job, and thank you for this award, and sit down, that'll be a scandal, a literal scandal for days, maybe weeks, might cost you your career, might cause you never to be hired again. That's the kind of iron grip they have. And it's not an iron grip on ideas. They don't have any ideas. It's not an iron grip on quality art. Most of the quality art has been, in some sense, conservative. It's an iron grip on the industry, on the industry of making movies, on the industry of publishing books. on the industries of doing TV. All of that stuff is very tough to get into and get through if you are openly Republican or conservative.
All right, a man who will not be nominated for an Oscar anytime soon. He is Andrew Klavan, screenwriter, essayist, and author of The Great Good Thing. A secular Jew comes to faith in Christ. Andrew, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hello, this is financial advisor Dale Bradley speaking to you from the Bradley Investment Center in Evanston. Have you ever made an investment through one of those large national brokerage firms? Have you ever felt like just a number? Well, at Bradley Investment Center, our goal is not to be the largest practice. It's simply to be the best by establishing and keeping true personal relationships. Visit us at BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. That's BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. Or better yet, stop by and say hello. We are at the corner of Central and Central Park in beautiful Northwest Evanston. We strive to be the center of all your family's investment needs. For more information, call the Bradley Investment Center at 855-940-8700. That's 855-940-8700.
Bradley Investment Center. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. Bradley Investment Center is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do on this show. Long-form interviews in our Against the Current series featuring opinion leaders and policymakers. This week, Charles Cook from National Review. Follow the Logic Man on the Street interviews, as well as 60-second commentaries from yours truly, 2-minute warnings from Pat Hughes over at the Illinois Opportunity Project, and our new series, Heart of the Matter, which is professional women discussing the salient issues of the day, colleague to colleague, and podcast of Illinois Rising, which is our program that airs Sundays at 3 p.m. on these airwaves, focused on state policy and politics. You can catch it all by signing up at upstream-ideas.com.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
All right, I know you're bombarded with MyPillow ads everywhere you turn, not only from me, but on TV, billboards, and in print. But the reason is simple. It's the best